Hey guys, so I want to do a full card review for every single card in Spiritforged for limited. So this is like the pre-rift event. In the context of that, not constructed. We're not worried about constructed for the next set. We're just looking for the pre-rift events. See, what cards are going to be good, what cards are going to be bad. And the nice thing about this is since it's pertaining to limited, if there ever ends up being a draft format that gets popular for Spiritforged, or a local store that's hosting a sealed event, these ratings are still gonna stand. Obviously, this is just a guess, it's hard to nail down exactly how good cards are going to be, but people enjoy getting these vibes-based ratings for each card, and I'll do my best to be accurate. And if I'm wrong, just know that I'm losing my events because I'm drafting certain cards more than others. So just to go over some grades, so I watch this podcast, or I used to watch this podcast called Limited Resources, and this is kind of the grades that they gave. It's A, B, C, D, F, kind of normal. A's, so it's going to be like A plus to A minus. These are like your 10 out of 10 bombs. They win the game by themselves. They're fantastic. You're always going to play infinite copies of them if you can. You're going to play this. Your opponents are going to roll their eyes and they're going to concede. B's are pretty good cards, pretty great cards, cards that enable strategies by themselves, generate value, are very, very strong, are going to really bias you towards playing their color. C are decent cards, your filler cards, a lot of the early game units that are going to be pretty decent, but are obviously never going to be winning you games. When you're putting these cards into your deck, you're like pretty happy. You're never like sad putting these cards in your deck, and really the ideal way is to put as many A's and B's as you have and fill out the rest of your deck with C's. These are bad cards, just don't play them. If you absolutely have to, you can play them. And then F is unplayable, never play this card. And then side grades are build arounds, so cards that are only playable if you cater your deck to play for them. And then sideboards are cards that you will just leave in your sideboard as something that you keep in mind, and then you can put them in for games 2 and 3 if you really, really want to counter certain strategies. So this is the rating system that Limited Resources uses for their evaluations for the cards in all the Magic the Gathering sets. So I thought this would be a nice place to start. I hope you guys have some patience with me on this, because this is the first time I'm doing a card review. I just thought it'd be fun to do, and I think people would like it. So let's get started. Alright, so against the odds. This is 2 energy, red spell. Reaction, give a friendly unit at a battlefield +2 this turn for each enemy unit there. So this is just a combat trick that rewards you for attacking into wider boards. I think one thing that you need to keep in mind for this type of card is that you should know that there aren't enough units being generated generally for this to be super useful. So it is kind of more reasonable to look at this more like a +2, maybe +4 for 2 mana. This means it's kind of okay. I think what's more likely is if you're playing a deck that has medium to large units and you're playing against a deck that has a lot of smaller units, then that's when this card is a lot more reasonable, because you would most likely be holding it on the defense when they're swinging into you for a lot of things, for a lot of damage. You can't really expect a lot of players to be generating enough units to make this worthwhile on the attack. It's just not. So even though it feels flexible because it's a variable amount that is better the more stuff that your opponent has, you can't really look at it that way because of how restrictive it is. So because of that, I'm gonna say it's a sideboard card. I'm gonna say it's a sideboard card. I think if you're putting this into your deck, it's probably getting put into your deck at a C- level, and then it can probably get sideboarded at a C+ level. If your opponent is specifically playing a much smaller deck that's utilizing Vanguard Armory a lot, then you can probably use this a little bit better. But I think for now I'll say a C-. Armored Assailant is 6 and a red for a 6 might unit. It has Accelerate for 1 and a red, and it has Weapon Master. This card is probably pretty okay. If you can utilize the Weapon Master side of this, it it poses like a really significant threat. It feels a lot like Riptide Rex, like a really bad Watcher or something like that. When this card was being like teased at the beginning, it did feel a lot like Darius. Like it feels a lot like Darius Trifarian, because you accelerate it for 7 and 2 red. Darius is like 5 and a red, but you need to play a second spell. Darius attacks as a 7, and this, if you're picking up any like reasonable equipment, it will attack as like an 8. I think this is like a pretty reasonable card to put as like your higher end if you're like an equipment focused deck. If you're not an equipment focused deck, it's probably like fine. It's like a fine out of 10. So I'd say I'm gonna give this card also a C-. If you have better top end cards, you'll probably want to play those better top end cards and not this card. Accelerate is like very relevant though. Accelerate is very relevant. Let's put it as C. I'm gonna put it as C. It's a very reasonable card. Blood Rush. So this is 1. It's a spell, costs 1 energy, has on action speed. It also has repeat. Give a unit assault 2. So the obvious comparison for this is Cleave. So Cleave from Origins is 1 energy for Assault 3. This is 1 energy for Assault 2, but you can repeat it to give it Assault 4 instead, which is like actually quite good. 1 mana or 2 mana plus 4. Having the modality of 1 mana plus 2 or 2 mana plus 4 is like really significant. It is only usable on the attack, so the modality is like not as relevant as it would be like on the defense. Modality is better when you're reacting to what they're doing, but typically the way that Cleave is being played is like you're gonna Cleave beforehand, or like as you run in, you're gonna hold like action, hold focus, and then play on top. And the problem is like, do you like how much overkill do you want to use on your Blood Rush, right? Like if you're attacking like a 4 into a 4 and you Blood Rush to get +2, then if they use Wages of Pain, deal 3 damage, then it's going to be like a 6 might unit with 3 damage marked onto it into a 4 might unit, they'll trade, right? But if you were to spend 2 mana and give it Assault 4, it'd be an 8 might unit that would get marked for 3 damage, it would go down to 5, it would fight with a 4, and it would survive. The problem is like, since you can't use the repeat as like an answer for their stuff, since you're the one on the attack, it like gets really awkward, because if you were to spend 2 and repeat this and go +4, they would just not play Wages of Pain, and you're just like overkilling it a lot. So it's kind of like flexible, but the flexibility is kind of, it's like front loaded. You're not able to get as much value out of it as you could if this was like Shield or something like that, you know. Even then, like this card is like really above rate. Like 1 mana plus 2 or 2 mana plus 4, the flexibility is like quite nice. I think I want to give this like a B-. I think I probably need to value combat tricks like a little bit higher than I would for Magic. In Magic, combat tricks are like not super useful because you assign defenders, and you can like let damage through, and like combat is not like 1-to-1. But since you're like fighting units straight up a lot of times in this game, I think this card is like pretty reasonable, and it works almost like removal. So I think I'm happy putting this at like a B-, maybe in the B range, but I think I'll put it at the B-. You'll probably want to play like a good number of copies of this as like an alternative to other red removal. Bushwhack. So there's 2 and a red for a spell that has hidden. Friendly units enter ready this turn. Play gold gear token exhausted. I'm gonna just say this is like a D or an F. I don't really see the point in this card. You're spending 2 for like a bad confront. Like the gold token is like not as good as the draw of confront, and it also has the power cost. The hidden is like not super relevant because the only way it's like relevant and good is if you're hiding it and you're waiting a full turn cycle, and then you're playing it from hidden, refunding the power cost at some later date, but you have to wait a whole another turn cycle for the actual refund to actually feel good. And if you're playing this on your opponent's turn, friendly units entering ready does not matter at all. So I'm gonna put this at F. Don't play this card. Moving on. Detonate. 1 and a red for a spell. Kill a gear. Its controller draws 2. Let's put this as a D. I think if you have like really, really good ways to generate gold, and you have really, really bad ways to draw cards, and you're desperate for card draw, I could see it maybe. I think the only way this card is good is if you're blowing up your own gear tokens, and that's the only way it's good. So I'm gonna say it's a D plus. Build around D plus if you have a lot of ways to generate gold. Otherwise, let's put it a D minus. You don't really want to be hitting your opponent's stuff with this, because even if you're hitting like a reasonably sized equipment, the draw 2 is like very, very significant, and you're going down a card for that. Nah, D minus. Eager Drakehound. So it's 3 and a red for a 3 might unit. He enters ready. I think this is like actually quite a decent card. The way I think this plays out is like if you're going second, and your opponent plays a 2-drop, you'll play like a 2-drop. Then their next turn they'll run their 2-drop in and then play another unit behind it, like in their base. And what you can do is like run your 2-drop into like the empty battlefield and then play this and then run into the other battlefield and double conquer. And that's like pretty significant. It's probably pretty difficult to deal with that. I think I want to put this card at like a C plus, or like a C plus range. The power cost is like pretty significant on this. 3 might is fine. Entering ready is like really, really strong, but it is a little bit more strong and constructed than it is limited, probably, is my guess. So I think it's somewhere around C plus. I'll settle with C plus because red doesn't have that many good 3-drops, or like 3 to 4 energy units. And like theoretically, if you want to play this on turn 1 and conquer, it's like not that bad, because defending as a 3 is still relevant, and players aren't going to be able to kill it necessarily on their turn 2, especially if they missed their turn 1 play or something like that. Gem Jammer, when you play 2 mana 2, when you play me, give a unit ganking this turn. I think like the line for ganking is like not super relevant. I don't care too much of that, especially in a limited environment where you can't guarantee that you're actually getting value out of this. The targets that you're hitting are not going to be very relevant, especially since it's a 2 energy unit. You're probably going to want to play this like on the earlier side. So I think I want to give this like a C minus. You're like fine playing in your deck if you need 2-drops. It's not like the worst 2-drop. It's still 2 mana 2 might with like some extremely marginal upside. You'll put this into your deck. You won't be like too sad, but this is definitely a card that I could see getting put into decks. So I'll put a C minus. 3 Sentinel Adept. It's a 3 energy 3 might unit with Weapon Master. It's like really difficult to evaluate this type of unit because it's like not clear how good the weapons are going to be. I haven't like taken a full look into like red and the other weapons, but I know they're not like crazy good, especially when you're in like the common and uncommon slots. Problem with like this type of unit is it really wants your equipment to be on board already, which means like you're not really playing this on turn 1 or 2. If you want to get like the full value out of it, you would want to be playing it like turn 3 or turn 4 after you've played like a pretty reasonable equipment that you want to be getting the discount for the Weapon Master on. If you're thinking about just like playing it as like a tempo 3 mana 3 might unit, like it's fine. So I think I would put it as like the same level as Gem Jammer, which is like in the C minus range. But being 3 energy is like probably worse than being at 2 energy because you can play it turn 1 going first. So I think it's like with Gem Jammer, I put it at like the C to C minus range. Sentinel Adept, I want to put in like the C minus to D plus range. But I think I'll settle with C minus just because having more 3 energy units in your deck is probably good enough. Serrated Dirk, it's a 1 energy gear equipment that has an equip cost of red, and it gives the unit assault 2. I'm like really not sure how much I want to be, like how well I want to be evaluating this card. It like seems like somewhat awkward to be playing. Like if you're going second, you play a 2-drop and Serrated Dirk, and then next turn you equip an attack into it. I think it's fine. The problem is like when you're drawing this into like the mid to late game, like don't you just hate your life? Like I think you just hate your life if you're doing this. And Assault 2 is like marginally relevant. Like it's obviously good, but the problem is like your units are dying, and you don't really want your units to be dying. So I think I want to put Serrated Dirk in like the D+ range. The only time I can see this being like actually quite valuable is if you're really committing to Azir Legend. If you're doing like red, green, yellow with Azir, I could see this card being reasonable. I could see this card being good. I don't think it warrants like a build around grade, because you're not going to build around the one energy equipment. So I'm going to put this in like the D to D+ range. I think it's fine. I would rather just play bigger equipment, better equipment, and units in the same slot though. Void Drone, 3 mana 3, I cost 2 less to play anywhere other than your hand. This line of text is only relevant if you're playing Rek'Sai, if you're playing the Rek'Sai leader. So I think this is going to have a very, very similar grade to the Sentinel Adept, which is just like a raw 3 mana 3 might unit, which is like fine. I put her at what, the D+ C- range. I think this is also like C-. If you're playing Rek'Sai, I would put this at like a C. Maybe a C+. If you're playing Rek'Sai, this is a C+. I think if you're playing Rek'Sai, this is a C+, and if you're not playing Rek'Sai, this is a C-. Angle Shot. So there's a 2 energy spell with reaction. Choose a unit and equipment with the same controller. Attach that equipment to that unit, or detach that equipment from that unit, and then draw 1. Sideboard, a D. It's like a D. It's like a D. It's like a D. The cantrip, the cantripping on this is like a little bit nice. Like if this didn't have the draw 1 line, it'd be like it'd be like an F. The cantripping on this is like fine. You can use it on your own units if you have like a lot of equipment. To instead of paying the power, you can just pay the 2 to attach it on. And at reaction speed means that if you're defending and you have an equipment in base, you can bait your opponents into attacking into it. And then use this to use it as like a pseudo combat trick, which is like not super great. Or you can, if their unit is attacking in with equipment, you can detach it. The problem is like I think this is actually stronger if you're detaching equipment from your opponent's stuff than attaching stuff onto your units. And the problem with that is your opponent needs to be playing equipment in their deck, and their unit that is attacking into you needs to have an equipment on it, which is like very narrow. And very difficult to utilize. I would put this in like the D-. I'm gonna say D- on this. Fuck, do I just put F on this? I'm like really tempted to put F on this. I'm gonna say D- just because there will be like a pretty okay amount of equipment going around, and I could theoretically see this as being reasonable. Just note that like 2 mana is like quite a bit of mana to leave open when you're like not even guaranteed to be getting value out of it. So I'd be careful with it. I'm gonna say D-. Battering Ram is a 5 mana 5, costs 1 less for each card you've played this turn to a minimum of 1. So this card is like really good and constructed. And the question is, how good is it in limited? I think a 5 mana 5 is like, okay, if we ignore the line of text, a 5 mana 5 I would probably put in like the C- range. I think these vanilla creatures are in like the C- range just because you like having creatures in your deck. Now, how relevant is this line? If you play one other card, say you're at 6 mana, you can play a 2-drop plus this, which is like fine. If you play 2 cards, are you really... The thing is, there's not a lot of good card draw in limited. There's not like a ton of good card draw, so you can't rely on being able to play like 2 cards prior to this. So because of that, I'm gonna put it at C-. I'm gonna pretend that line of text is like barely there. I think it is okay. I think if you need top ends, this is like a reasonable top end, but it's not great. Blast Corps Cadets. It's a 2 mana 2 might unit. When you may pay 1 in a red as an additional cost to pay me. When you play me, if you pay the additional cost, deal 2 to a unit at a battlefield. So this is a raw 2 mana 2 might unit. With upside, you can shoot something for 2 if you pay 1 in a red. So it basically has like a bad Hextech Ray attached onto it. I think this is like low-key is like a low-key I want to say this is like a B minus. The optionality of the additional cost is like really, really nice. See, like if this was 3 in a red that was 2 might and just came in and shot something for a 2 at a battlefield, it would be like really restrictive and like kind of bad. But since this has like the modality of just being a raw 2 mana 2 might unit that has the option to shoot something for 2 is like quite nice, and there's not like a ton of removal in this set. So being able to shoot something without having to worry about getting blown out is quite nice. So I'm gonna say this is like a B minus. I think this is like quite a good card. I don't think it quite gets to like the B or B plus range, because 2 might is like, or 2 damage is like not a lot. And if this is one of the 2 drops that are like in your deck, and you play it turn 1, it like kind of doesn't really do anything. And when you're drawing it later into the game, it's like actually pretty decent. But B minus is like the pretty decent range. It's hard for like these really cheap units to get higher grades than that, because they're never really like winning the game for you or anything like that. B minus. Minotaur Reckoner, 5 mana 5. Units can't move to base. This is like actually like kind of tempting to put as like a decent card. Players will want to like retain their units because you kind of have fewer of them. So if you're like presenting a big threat, players will want to like move away. But the problem is like it's just like a vanilla unit, you know? I think I would put this like as a sideboard card if you're playing into Aurelia. I think is like pretty decent. Like sideboarding into like purple, it's like pretty much just Aurelia decks that I'm thinking this is like good into, because there's not enough of like purple interaction that makes this like good on the offense. So I think this would be like a sideboard like C+, and then like a main deck like C-. I think it has about the same upside as Battering Ram. About the same upside, which is like marginal upside, but it's like real. It's real upside, but it's marginal. Being 5 mana, it's a little bit of an awkward space to be though. Perched Grimworm. So this is a 4 mana 5 might unit. You play me only to a battlefield you conquered this turn. You can't play me anywhere else. This like unit is very suspect. Very suspect. Having limitations on when you're allowed to play units is pretty bad, and this unit is like barely above rate. 5 might is probably good in this set. Like the difference between 4 and 5 is like usually a pretty significant difference, like especially in constructed at least. So my assumption is like the 5 might matters. The problem is like, let's pretend you have any 4 energy unit versus this card. If you miss your turn 1 play and then you only have this as your as your turn 2 play, you can't play this card. And that's like a real significant downside, because there are going to be times in which this is the only 4 energy unit that's in your hand. Or like, and if you like play your turn 1 play and you attempt to attack and it gets removed or something like that, and this is the only 4 energy card in your hand, it's like pretty bad. So because of that, I really want to say it's like a D+. It's like a D+. I think 4 energy 5 is like is above rate and is fine, but I don't think the downside is I think the downside is too significant to make this playable. So D+. Fuck this card. D. Recurve Bow. 2 energy equipment with equip cost of red. It gives plus 0 might when I attack or defend. Deal 2 to an enemy unit here. I think this card is bad. The reason I think it's bad is because it will sometimes allow you to trade up, but a lot of the times it will not prevent your unit from dying. It'll only prevent your unit from dying if the unit that is attacking into you is at exactly 2 might. That's the problem. If they're defending with 3 might unit and you attach Recurve Bow and you attack in with your 3 might unit, they still trade. It's only good if you attach it onto your 1 might unit and attack into their 3 might unit. But having restrictions on your cards for when they're good and when they're not good, and having it be pretty narrow like this, makes me think it's not good. Because of that, I'm gonna say it's like D+. You probably don't want to put this into your deck unless you have like a lot of Weapon Master, or you really need equipment, like cheap equipment, like if you're playing a Z or something. I think this card is like okay, but I'm gonna say D+ for this. Sudden Storm. So it's a 3 mana spell that can be hidden, that has action. Deal 2 to a unit at a battlefield. If it's attacking, deal 4 to it instead. So this is like kind of a Void Seeker, except slightly like more flexible, I guess, but doesn't draw. Doesn't have the power cost as well. It can be hidden, which is like pretty nice actually, because it means you can tap out on your turn and then still have interaction on your opponent's turn. Because of that, I think it might actually just be like in the B- range. Removal is like pretty nice. Dealing 4 is like pretty significant. It'll kill a lot of things. So if it's like turn 2 or turn 3, you're like running into a battlefield with your 4 might units, and it's defending, like say your opponent has a 2 might unit and 2 might unit that's on a battlefield, 4 might units that's at home. You like conquered into the 2 might into the empty battlefield, and you have a 4 might unit at home. You can like hide the Sudden Storm, and then next turn, if they're trying to attack into you, you like kill the 4 might unit, and then your 4 might unit threatens to attack into their 2 might unit to conquer that battlefield, to double conquer, which is like a really, really significant swing. So I'm gonna say it's a B-. Removal is very premium in this game. B-. Void Hatchling. 2 mana 2. If you would reveal cards from a deck, look at the top card first. You may recycle it, then reveal those cards. And this is basically just a vanilla 2 might 2 or 2 energy 2 might units. If you're playing Rek'Sai, there's like technically upside, but it's like you're not even guaranteed to be getting value out of the upside. I don't really think it's that good. I view it mostly as like a vanilla 2 might, the 2 energy 2 might unit. If you're playing Rek'Sai, I'll put this as a C. If you're not playing Rek'Sai, I'll put this as like a C-. Assembly Rig. So there's a 4 mana gear. It has 1 and a red. Recycle a unit from your trash and tap. Play a 3 might mech unit token to your base for 4 mana. This is really interesting actually. This is really interesting. This is kind of like inevitability. If you're playing like a really slow red deck, I could see this being pretty reasonable. It essentially gives like all your units like delayed death knell, and you also have to pay 1 in the red. But if your deck's really slow, which like most of this is going to be reasonably slow, I would say this is like a build around card. If you have a lot of good removal in your deck and your deck wants to play slower, I think it's good. It's like a pretty significant amount of tempo loss. If you're playing it the first turn it comes out, it's 5 in a red to be able to create a 3 might unit, which is like okay. It's like okay, it's like really, really below rate, but you can keep on doing it. It will eventually run out of targets, which is bad, especially if you're not running enough units into your deck, because you're running a lot of like. This card is only good if you have a lot of removal, because then it slows the game down enough for you to actually get value out of this. But it's also only good if you have a lot of units in your trash. Which means like it's pretty narrow. If you're just like deciding not to run a bunch of like, I would put this in like a 0 equipment list, I think, because you can't like, you don't have deck space to afford running a lot of equipment. So I would put this as like a build around B, build around B-. Build around B-. I think on average this card is gonna play in like the C- range. But if your deck can build around this, I think it could reasonably get to like the B- to B range. Recurring value is very, very strong in this in limited. Draven Vanquisher. 4 mana 4 might unit. The infamous Draven Vanquisher. When I win in combat, play a gold gear token exhausted. When I attack or defend, you may pay red. If you do, give me +2 might this turn. I think it's probably good, man. Like it plays kind of like Red Kaisa, where it's just like a 4 energy unit that is on rate that has upside. When you conquer or in Draven's case, win a combat, you generate value, and then you can spend the value to make him a lot stickier. I would probably put him at like the B range. He's a very, very, very solid card. I don't think he's ever gonna like win you games by himself, because he doesn't quite have enough support that he does from like constructed Draven decks. But I think he's gonna be really annoying for your opponents to deal with. And like as a base rate, he's pretty much always gonna be 4 mana, 4 might unit, which is like on rate quite good. And he can also get put into the champion zone, which is like really, really, really relevant. And then he's gonna like win 1 combat, create you a gold gear token, like basically ramp you a little bit, and then is like somewhat annoying to get rid of. So I think he's in like the B range, somewhere between B and B plus. I'd put him. He's never gonna win you games, but well, he could win you games actually, but probably in the B range. Probably say B. Same card. 6 Ferris Forerunner. So 6 in a red for a 6 might unit that has Death Knell. Play 2 3 might mech unit tokens to your base. So if you watched my previous video, I think this card is really good. I think this card is really, really, really good. This is like, if you think about it, it's 6 in a red for 12 might worth of stats. 12 might worth of stats. And that is like really, really good. Really, really, really good. I want to put this in like the A- to A range. If you just protect it just a little bit, so that like 7 and 8 might units don't eat over it. Like if you have something that like deals a little bit of damage to like weaken them a little bit, and then this card trades with their big unit and then creates your 3 might units, you're like super, super happy. So I don't think it like wins you the game by itself, but when you play this, your opponent is gonna hate their life. So I want to put it somewhere in the A- to A range. I'm gonna put it in A because I feel like there's not that many like super, super good cards in the set. So we're gonna say A for Ferris Forerunner. Longsword. So it's 2 in a red for quick draw, for an equipment that has quick draw and just a quick cost of red for +2 might. This card is really good. It's basically a combat trick for 2 energy combat trick that gives +2, which is like an okay number. The good thing is this works on the defense as well, as opposed to Serrated Dirk from earlier. And it's only 1 more expensive. And then since it costs red to play it, but it also costs red to equip it, like you're not even down and like down power. Like pretend this card like didn't have the quick draw and didn't have the red power cost, then you're still paying 2 and a red to attach it to a unit. So but in this case you actually get the quick draw, which is like a very, very, very relevant keyword. So I think Longsword is probably in like the B- range, where it's basically a combat trick that gets recurring value. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, because if I'm saying Blood Rush is a B-, then this deserves at least a B- as well. Yeah, I'm gonna say B-. B- for Longsword. Good card. Piercing Light. So 2 in a red for a spell, with repeat for another 2 in a red. Deal 2 to a unit at battlefield, then deal 2 to up to 1 other unit. This other unit does not need to be at another location, which is actually like really relevant. So you only need to have, so basically you can spend 4 and 2 red to deal 8 damage split amongst 4 bodies, and only 2 of those bodies need to be at battlefield, so you can hit base. I really want to put this in the B range, like B to B plus. This removal is like very, very strong, very efficient. If you're ever playing against Falling Star, this is basically Falling Star, except a little bit more flexible, but a little bit more expensive than Falling Star. Let's say B plus. Let's say B plus. I respect Piercing Light. I think it's been really good. You're always gonna want to play this card in your deck. Realm Magnetic. So 4 mana for 4 might unit. She's gonna have tank. When I attack, you may play equipment with energy cost no more than 2, ignoring its cost, and attach it to me. This like is pretty good. And just note, okay, there is no Rel legend, but Rel is a champion unit. So if you're in red, you're allowed to put Rel as your chosen champion. This is very, very relevant because that means that your equipment is always going to have good targets, and you're going to be able to cheat them out. You know, so if you're playing some crappy card like Recurve Bow, okay, actually don't use the Recurve Bow, I'll talk about it in a second. But if you're using some crappy card like Serrated Dirk, she gets to cheat this card into play for when she attacks, and she gets the assault too, which is quite nice. The reason, like, okay, the reason you don't want Recurve Bow is I'm pretty sure you miss the opportunity window if she's already attacking and then you play this unit, play this gear and attaches onto her. I think it misses the trigger window for the attack to deal 2 to a unit, I think, but I'm not 100% sure about that, but just be careful about that. You would need clarification on that. So I think it's like probably like a C+. Probably like a C+. I think it's a pretty reasonable unit. I don't think it's ever going to be crazy. Like, the energy cost no more than 2 is like pretty annoying. But if you're hitting like longsword with it, it's pretty fine because it ignores power cost as well. So it's pretty fine. I think C+ is a pretty reasonable number to put in this. Being able to put in the champion zone is like very, very relevant. It makes your equipment a lot better. Rengar, 3 in a red for a 3 might unit with reaction and assault 2. I can be played to a battlefield you're attacking. So he's basically reverse Shen. If you remember Shen from Origins, he's a reverse Shen. He's a 3 and 1 power 3 might unit that attacks as a 5. Shen defended as a 5. Shen was like pretty decent card. I think like in a limited format, Shen would be better than Rengar would be, but like this is still like pretty relevant. I think what you're looking to get here is like attacking. Okay, the problem is there aren't like a ton of situations in which like the Rengar is really, really good. Is like really, really good. So you think about this, right? Like, say you're attacking with a small unit into like a medium-sized unit, say it's like 4 might or something. You attack in with your 1 might unit, you play Rengar on top, you guys trade, so the recruit or the 1 might unit dies, and then the 4 might unit dies, and you're left with Rengar on battlefield that is a 3, okay? So he dies to everything, and he doesn't defend very well. The other option, if they have if you're attacking with a 4 and they're like attacking holding with 3 and they like buff it up to like a 5 and you like play Rengar on top of it, like Rengar dies or your other unit dies, like him not having the tank keyword makes him like not as good. He's only really good if you're like he's above rate and you're hitting something like really, really, really big. Like if they're holding with like a 6 or like a 7 and you're attacking with a 2 and then you play Rengar on top and you're like full clearing that and like Rengar surviving and stuff, like that's kind of the only place that it's good, and it's like slightly above rate at that point. But the problem is like he's still holding as a 3, so he's like he's okay. I'm gonna put him in like a C+. Like, you're always happy to have like relevant units that are like doing things. I don't think he's ever gonna like blow out your opponent though. Also, note he is a champion unit, so you can play him as your chosen champion if you're like a super aggressive deck, or like your opponent is just playing big boys and you want your Rengar to be killing the big boys. Rumble Hot-Headed, so 4 mana for 4 might unit. Your mechs each have assault. Assault 1. When I conquer, you may recycle another friendly unit to play a mech from your trash. Reduce its energy cost by the might of the unit you recycled. This guy has a lot of text, and I don't know how relevant this text is. So a 4 mana 4, I think like by default is gonna be in like the C range. I don't think you can get worse than a C if you're a 4 mana 4 with upside. I don't think you're gonna be able to have like that many mechs. There's no Rumble pre-rift kit, so you're not gonna have like a bundle of mechs that you're gonna be able to move in with Rumble. Because like kind of the ideal situation here is you like play a 2-drop that's a mech, you play Rumble on turn 2, and then like your mech gets to attack in with assault, which is like kind of nice. The question is like how often can you get that happen? How often can that happen? And then it's like the second part, like when you conquer, you can recycle another friendly unit to play a mech from You may recycle another friendly unit to play a mech from your trash, reduce its energy cost by the might of the unit that you recycle. So you need to recycle a friendly unit that is currently in play. So you're like not even up on cards, you're like technically up on value, because you get to recur some like maybe slightly higher, like larger mechs. I think this card is like not that good. I think this card is like a vanilla unit with marginal upside. I think the assault 1 is more relevant than the second part. If a 4 mana 4 might unit is like a C by default, I think he's still a C. I think it's just a C. I don't think his text, the rest of his text, is relevant enough. Dunebreaker, so 7 in a red for a 7 might unit. If you have 2 or fewer cards in your hand, I enter ready. When I hold, draw 2. This card is actually pretty decent. I think this card is actually way better in limited than it is in constructed. The when I hold, draw 2 line is not relevant in constructed, probably. I mean, I don't really know the Rek'Sai list that well from constructed. But like if you have 2 or fewer cards in your hand, I enter ready is like actually a good line. That's a great line to have, because in limited you don't have that much card draw, so you're gonna be running out of cards like pretty well. And just like, is it absolutely must be removed the second that he is threatening to hold, because draw 2 basically ends the game. Because of that, I think this card like is legitimately in like the A- to B+ range. And I think it's the A- range. I think I'm gonna give this an A-. Oh, 7 is so big though. 7 is so big. Is this an A? Is this an A? This might be an A. Fuck it. We're saying Dunebreaker is an A. Lucian Gunslinger. So there's 3 energy for a 2 might unit with an assault 1. When I attack, deal damage equal to my assault to an enemy unit here. So it's a 3 mana, 3 might unit when it's attacking, that also pings something for 1 when it attacks. So it can trade up into a 4, it trades evenly into 3. If they're holding with a 2 and a 1, it'll kill the 1 and then eat up the 2. But it defends as a 2. I don't think it's good. 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 I want to put this as C-. I want to put this as C-. The problem is like this card needs a lot of enabling to be good. This card needs a lot of enabling. It needs the Lucian leader. It needs equipment to be attached onto it. It needs ways to protect it to be able to recur value from this. Like, I would rather have a 3 mana 3 might unit than Lucian. I think the 2 might is really relevant. It just dies to everything, I think. So I'm gonna put this as C-. C-. Rek'Sai Breacher, 3 mana 3 might unit, there we go, with Accelerate for 1 in the red, and it has Assault 1. Friendly units played from anywhere other than player's hand have Accelerate. Let me think. So it plays a lot like Kaisa, huh? 3 mana 3 might unit, it holds as a 3. This is definitely better than Lucian. Definitely better than Lucian. The question is whether or not this is like in the C+ range or the B- range. Accelerate is relevant. Assault is relevant. 3 might is relevant. The friendly units played from anywhere else in the player's hand have Accelerate is not a line that exists. Pretend that line is not on the card. And then we can evaluate more properly. For 3 energy, you don't have to accelerate it, which is nice. And so you don't have to pay the power. But the Accelerate is going to be nice. I'll put it in the B- range. I think it's a very solid 3-drop. I think it's a 3-drop you're going to be very, very happy with. Again, you can put it into your chosen champion zone, but I think it's playable outside of the chosen champion zone. I'll put B- on this. That might be like on the higher end. I think C+ is probably the more correct place to put this, but we'll see B-. Skyfall of Arayon for 3 mana gear equipment with equip of 1 in a red. Your hold effects are also conquer effects and vice versa, and it gives +2 might. I don't think this card is good. It like enables a lot of funky combos, but you don't really want combos in limited. +2 might for 3 energy plus 1 more energy plus a red is like really, really bad. Like you think of it as like Blood Rush. Like Blood Rush gives +2 for 1 energy. This is 3 energy and a red, more expensive than that. The hold effects and conquer effects are like not relevant really, other than like specifically if you have Dune Breaker. Like that's the one unit that I think really does well with Skyfall of RM. I think this card is bad. I think this card is bad. This card is bad. I'm gonna put this as a D minus. I think it's a D minus. I think there's like theoretically a world where you can like build around this card and it goes up to like a C plus or like a B minus, but I don't think it really gets there unless you're like really inting the rest of your game plan to make this work. So because of that, I'm gonna say D minus. D minus, not a good card. All right, that's red. Nice. We're almost there, guys. We're really not. Okay, Desert's Call. 2 mana for a spell that has repeat for 2. Play a 2 Might Sand Soldier unit. I think this card is very good. Being able to play it as a 2-drop that creates 2 units, or as a 4-drop that, a 2-drop that creates 1 2 Might unit, or a 4-drop that creates 2 2 Might units. The modality is really nice, and it's on rate no matter which way you use it, and it has no power cost. I think it's a good card. I want to put this as like a C plus to. I don't think it hits the B minus range. I don't think it hits the B minus range. I'd put this as C plus. I'd be really happy playing any number of this in my deck. Disarming Rake. So it's a 3 energy 1 green unit for 2 might. When you play me, you may kill a gear. Don't play this card. This card is bad. Let's put this at D plus. You don't want your power cost that early in the game. It's understated for the power cost. Killing the gear is marginal. Well, it can be good if they have good gear in play. If they don't have good gear in play, it's not a good card. Don't play it. Let's say it's a. What did I say? D minus. Let's say a D minus. I think it's a D minus. Doran's Shield. It's 1 energy gear with a equip of green. It has tank, and then, or like it gives the unit tank and then gives it +1 might. Tank is like a little bit relevant. It can be relevant. I don't think it's super relevant. The +1 is like a little bit relevant. I would play this card in Azir, and I don't think I would play it anywhere else. I don't think it's like quite good enough. The green power costs, like the equip costs on these equipments is like super more expensive than you think it is. It took me playing like 2 games with equipment to be like, wow, this is extremely expensive. It is like not the recurring value that you think it is, because it's de-ramping you every time you equip it. So you need to be like rich to actually make equipment like feel like recurring value, and early game equipment is not gonna do that for you. You're spending way too much to make it relevant. So I'm gonna say if you're playing Azir, this is probably like the C range. Playing Azir, this is C. If you're not playing Azir, this is like a D. This is like a D. Say D. Say D minus. Fuck this card. Feral Strength. So this is a 2 energy spell with reaction and repeat for 2. Give a unit +2 this turn. So this is just like discipline without the cantrip, but it can go to 4 if you want. A lot of things that make discipline good, or like on guard good, is that like okay, with discipline it's the draw card. Like the draw card is like super relevant, and the thing is like giving a unit. So I kind of talked about this with Blood Rush. It's like giving a unit +2 or giving a unit +4. Like the modality is like not super relevant there. It's like nice to have, I guess, but like not super relevant. Because like the nice thing about discipline is like you play discipline, you like draw your card, they do something in response, and you do like another discipline on top, you know, and that's when you like blow them out, because they're like, oh shit, I was like playing around 1 discipline, but I wasn't playing around 2. This is like you play this card and you give it like +4 off the bat, and they just accept the loss, you know, they just take it. So you're not getting as many like blowout opportunities because you need to repeat at the same time when you're casting the spell. That being said, I think the combat trick is like quite solid. +4 is like a big number. +4 is like a really big number. I think I would probably value this at like the C range. C. I think it's like a pretty decent card. C. Guardian of the Passage. So this is a 6 energy, 6 might unit. When I hold, you may return a unit or gear from your trash to your hand. It's like okay. It's okay. 6 energy, 6 might with no recycle is pretty relevant. The hold effect is like not super crazy, but a 6 might unit will hold some percentage of the time, and if you get 1 hold trigger off this, you're getting enough value for it to be like quite decent. You're not going to be returning anything too crazy. It's probably going to be some like 3-drop or 4-drop or something. It's like it's fine. It's fine. I think like a 6 mana 6 energy unit is like by default gonna be like a C minus. And this upside is like, it's real. So I don't know if it escapes the C minus, but you know what? I like this guy. We'll put it as a C, but I think he's probably closer to C minus than he is to C. But I'll say C because I like him. Lonely Poro. So this is a 2 energy, 2 might unit that has Death Knell. If I died alone, draw 1. And this card is very good. Very, very, very good. You probably want to play like literally as many copies of this as you get offered in your deck. This is probably one of the best 2-drops, I would say, in this game. Holding as a 2 is like super relevant. Drawing a card is like incredibly relevant. You can force it to die alone. Like if they're holding on a battlefield with a 2 might unit, you can run Lonely Poro in to trade with a 2 might unit and then get the draw, which is like super great. I don't think it quite breaks into the B range because it's very, very hard for early game, like turn 1 plays to get into the B range. But I'd put this as C+. It's a very, very good card. I would put a lot of it into my deck if I could. Make them not lonely by playing a lot of them in your deck. Navori Scout, 4 energy for 4 might unit. It has Deflect. I think this card is probably fine. Deflect is not as relevant in Limited as it is in Constructed because there's a lot more death by combat in Limited than there is in Constructed. Because of that, I think Deflect is like slightly less of a relevant keyword than you might imagine it to be. So it's like very, very close to a vanilla 4 energy 4 might unit. Because of that, I wanna rate it as if it's a vanilla, so it's like somewhere between the C and C minus range. It's very difficult with these like vanilla stat lines to see like exactly where they land, but I think for now I'm gonna say it's a C. It's a C. Ribbon Dancer, so 3 energy for a 3 might unit. When I move to a battlefield, give another friendly unit +1 this turn. I'm not sure how to feel about this card. The upside is technically there. It technically has upside. The problem is Ribbon Dancer kind of dies. What you really would like to be doing with Ribbon Dancer is like move it to an empty battlefield to enable one of your other units to move to a contested battlefield and like kill something there, so you're trading above rate. +1 is like not a lot. +1 is not a lot. And then it's like strictly a move to a battlefield. If it was like a move trigger, like when I move, give friendly unit +1 this turn, that'd be like a lot better because you could like move it to base or something like that, or you have some effects that help you like move cards better. Moving to battlefield makes it basically you trigger it half as often as you normally would. So because of that, I'm gonna rate it as like approximately a vanilla 3 energy 3 might unit. So I'm gonna say it's a C minus. C minus. Royal Entourage, so it's 3 and a green for a 4 might unit. When you play me, ready or exhaust a legend. I don't think the ready or exhaust is like relevant. I think it's like so extremely niche. You shouldn't really worry about it. There's gonna be a lot of people that, or probably like a decent chunk of people that are not even gonna be playing legends, and you might not be playing a legend either. So there is that worry. You're paying 3 and a green for 4 might unit, which is like above rate, which is fine. The problem is at the 3 energy slot. If it's a turn 2 play, you're playing at the same time you could be playing a 4 might unit or 4 energy unit, you know? Like this is only like the 3 energy versus 4 energy is only relevant on like turn 1 going seconds. But like, do you really want to be recycling a rune for that? You know? Like if you're thinking about in Origins Constructed, like 3 and a power is like Seal Vanguard Captain level, which is 5 might, and you also get a seal in play, and it's also spread around 3 bodies. You know, so it's gonna be like really good for like the turn that you play it, but you're gonna be down for kind of the rest of the game. I want to put it at C minus. C minus. It like might be the D plus range. It's really a question of how relevant the 4 versus the 3 is gonna be, and I don't think it's gonna be like super relevant. It does dodge like Wages of Pain, which is nice. Or like a lot of the like 3 damage removal, but there's also like a decent amount of 4 damage removal. So I'm gonna say it's a D plus. I don't really want to put this card in my deck. D plus for Royal Entourage. Thwonk, 2 energy for a spell at action speed that has repeat for 2, stun an attacking unit. One thing to note about Thwonk is it's strictly for attacking units. Unlike Rune Prison, which is like literally any unit, so you can use it on the attack. So Thwonk is only allowed to be used defensively. Defensively is probably where you want to be using this spell regardless, but just note that you are like missing a bit of the relevance for here. What it means also is that like you can't, like if they're attacking with units in one at a time, you will not be able to repeat this spell, right? Like if you have a 4 and they're attacking, if they have 4 and a 4 and they attack in with a 4 and you stun it, like sure this thing dies, but the other 4 can still run in and attack and you've already used up your thwomp. So I think it reads a lot better than it actually is. It's like a combat trick that I think is fine. You would probably rate it in like the same level as like Facebreaker or Rune Prison. So it's probably like a fine out of 10. I would probably put this as like a C minus. I'd rather put other tricks into my deck than Thwomp. I would put this as a sideboard card if they're playing really, really big boys that you just need to stall just a little bit. Apprentice Smith. 2 energy for a 2 might unit. When I move, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a gear, draw it, otherwise recycle it. So this unit rewards you for playing a lot of gears in your deck, but realistically, you don't really want to be putting that many gears in your deck. Gears are probably like the lowest on the priority list for what you want to be putting into your deck. Like the highest priority is units, and then the second priority is spells that remove or draw, and then you have gear for like recurrent value. So you probably won't have more than like 4 gear in your deck unless you're like a very, very equipment focused deck in which you might be running like 6 gear in your deck. Say you're running 6 gear in your deck, like on the top end you're running 6 gear in your deck. So that would be about 1/4 of the time you're gonna be drawing a card from this card. It's like fine. It's fine. A 2 mana 2 is not gonna get worse than a C minus. I'd say build around C. Normally it's gonna be a C minus. Brutalizer. So 2 energy equipment equips for a green. If this was attached to me this turn, I have an additional +2, and I'll also give +1. So it's like stays recurrent as a +1, but the turn that you play it, the turn that you equip it, it gives +3. It's like kind of relevant. It's like pretty nice. You can kind of think of it as like Assault 2. What happens is you like attack it, like you equip it, you attack it, and their unit dies. Your unit lives. Like the unit that Brutalizer was equipped onto dies, and then next turn you equip Brutalizer onto the next unit, and then you can like kind of repeat the process that way, which I think is fine. It's fine. This is probably one of the equipment I'd be more likely to play, just because of the +3 that the turn that you play it is like actually relevant. But I'm like not like a huge fan of equipment in general. So I'm gonna put this at like a C. I'll put this at a C. Might be okay. Emperor's Divide. So there's 2 energy for a spell with hidden and action. Move any number of friendly units out of battlefield to their base. So people were kind of saying this is like Flash. It's like a weird Flash. The problem is like would I play Flash in Limited? I think the answer is no. So this is like one of those cards that is like very nice tempo style card, which would be really, really nice in Constructed, but I don't think it's actually that good in Limited, because you don't really get that much value out of this. Like what's nice is this enables a lot of move triggers. So if you have like Stellarcoin Herder, you can like move around more to draw more cards. So this is kind of like a cantrip that like draws you an extra card. The thing is, like, if this card is only good if you have exactly Stellarcoin Herder on board, on battlefield, with this like hidden there, so that you can like use it in reaction to be able to save your herder from interaction. Like the times at which this card is just not like extremely useless, like it's just so niche. Like I don't think it's actually that good. So I think I'm gonna put it at D. I think it's D. I think it's like maybe playable if you have the synergies for it, but I would not recommend playing it. Say D. Legion Quartermaster. So 3 energy for a 4-might unit. As an additional cost to me, return a friendly gear to its owner's hand. I think this card is bad. Imagine your turn 1 going second, you want to play your 3-drop, you can't. Your turn 2 going first, you didn't you haven't generated any gear, the best case is you play like a 1 energy gear like Doran Shield and play Legion Quartermaster on top to bounce it. At which point you're spending 4 mana for 4 might unit. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's good. I think it's only good if you're bouncing like a gold token. But like, even then, like I don't even think it's that good if you're bouncing a gold token. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good. What did I give that other card? I gave it a D plus, right? This is a D. This is a D. I don't think it's good. D. Not so fast. So 2 and a green for a spell that's at reaction speed, counter an enemy spell or ability that chooses a friendly unit or gear. I would play one of these for sure. I would play one of these in my deck for sure. It helps dodge some removal. The problem is like, it doesn't like counter any spell. So if they're pumping their units up, this doesn't do anything. If they're like just fighting it, fist fighting it, like it's not that good. There's gonna be like some point in the game in which this is gonna be good. The problem is like if you're having multiple of these in your hand, they're gonna be like a dead card for most of the game. I would put one of this in my deck for sure. Any copies beyond this, I don't think I would play. So I think that would mean it's like a C minus. C minus. The first copy is a C plus. The second copy is a D plus. Let's say that. Poro Snacks. It's 1 and a green for a gear. When you play this, draw 1, and then you can play 1 and a green again and kill it to draw another 1. So I think this is like what you're wanting really to bounce with that treasure guy. The problem is like this recycles a rune every single time you play it. I think I would be willing to play like one of these just as like a way to draw a bunch of cards in the late game, as like a 2 mana, 2 green, draw 2. Is like fine. The power cost like really stops this card from being like actually good. I think the first copy of this you play is like probably pretty reasonable put into your deck. Any copies beyond that is like probably pretty bad. And I also think it's worse than Not So Fast. So I'm gonna say the first copy is a C, the second copy is a D. Simian Ancestor. So 5 and a green for a 5 might unit. When you buff me, ready me. There's like not a ton of ways that I know of to buff units in this set. Buff is like strictly refers to like the buff token that you're putting onto them. So that doesn't mean like you can't like give it +2 might using that buff spell to say like, oh, I'm ready now. Like that doesn't actually work. You need to like literally put a buff onto this guy. And I don't think there's like a ton of ways to distribute buffs. So you need to look at it more as like a 5 and a green for a 5 might unit. And I don't think that's good. I'm gonna put this at D plus. Stellacorn Herder. 4 energy for a 3 might unit. When I move, draw 1. That is really, really, really good. I don't know exactly how good this card is gonna be in like a limited format. My gut is telling me it's going to be really, really good. Like this card should probably be statted at 2 might, so that it trades into your 2-drops and stuff. My assumption is this card is going to be very, very good. I want to put this at like the B to B minus range. Drawing cards is very, very good, and it's like barely below rate. It's barely below rate, so you can protect it like pretty reasonably. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is a B. I would play a lot of this card. Aphelios Exhausted. 4 and a green for a 4 might unit. When you attach equipment to me, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Ready 2 runes. Channel 1 rune exhausted. Buff a friendly unit. I think it's like okay. If you have a lot of equipment, it's reasonable. The channel 1 rune basically refunds the attach cost for gear. So what you could do is like play Aphelios, attach a gear, ready 2 runes, play a gear, attach that gear, channel a rune exhausted, and you're down. You're still down like 2 power. You're still like down 2 runes, but your Aphelios has 2 extra equipment onto it. It doesn't ready himself, so he doesn't like have a way to like be fast, so he's still kind of vulnerable to a little bit of removal and stuff. And he also does rely on your deck having a lot of equipment. I don't think like equipment synergy cards are going to be very good because equipment is also not that good, or like I don't think it's going to be that good. You can again place him in your champion zone, and that is relevant. So I think if you're like an Azir deck that is running a ton of cheap equipment, I would put Aphelios into my champion zone, and I'd be willing to play him as a one of, just as a champion, as my chosen champion, and just call it there. So I think he's probably in like the C+. C. We'll put him at C. Is your chosen champion? He's a, as your chosen champion specifically in the Azir deck, he's a B-. If he's your chosen champion in not an Azir deck, he's like a C. If you're not playing him as your chosen champion, he's like a D+. We'll say that. C-. C-. You're gonna have some number of equipment, and if you get the trigger on him, you know, it's pretty decent. So we'll say C-. Azir Ascendant. So 6 and a green for 6 might units. It has green as an action ability. Choose a unit you control. Move me to its location and it to my original location. If it's equipped, you may attach one of its equipment to me. Use only once per turn. So like this ability is like really weird. I have zero idea how to evaluate this. I have absolutely zero idea how to evaluate this. I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate this card. This card is such a headache. My assumption is it's bad. Like, you don't really want to be recycling runes, but like recycling runes like later into the game isn't as much of a cost as like it is in the earlier parts of the game. So 6 energy for 6 might unit is like fine. Its ability to like move is like decent as well. So if you have like, if you're holding both battlefields, you can play Azir into base and then like move stuff around, which can be relevant. So he would basically be able to defend both battlefields. But if you're doing that as your like turn 3 or turn 4 play where you don't have mana up, it's like really vulnerable to interaction. So if they're attacking into your smaller unit with like a 4 might unit, and then you move Azir to that battlefield, like Azir could just get removed, and then you're like totally blown out, you're like totally dead. So I think there's like a world in which this card is good, and I think there's like a lot of worlds in which this card is like really mediocre to bad. So I want to say it's like a C-. I want to say it's a C-. I wouldn't put this card in my champion zone, to be honest. Guardian Angel, 2 energy for equipment with an equip cost of green. It gives +1 might. If I would die, kill Guardian Angel instead. Heal me, exhaust me, and recall me. This card is like incredible for constructed play. The question is how good it is in limited. I think the answer is like quite good. With the Guardian Angel as opposed to Zhonya's, you can choose which unit you're wanting to save. So if you don't, like, you can just play this on turn 1 and just not do anything with it. Wait until you have a unit that's like that you actually want to protect, and then you can attach onto that. So I think I'm gonna put this card at like a B-, maybe a B. It enables a lot of equipment synergies, which there's gonna be some number of in green, and then it basically is another copy of another like a good unit. And if we just assume that unit is gonna be at a B level, then this would also be at a B level, right? So I'm gonna say B, but like I'm tempted to put it a little bit closer to B-, but we'll see. We'll say B for now. Heart of Dark Ice. It's 3 and a green for a gear that has tap, giving unit +3 this turn. +3 is like quite a lot. It makes all your units like very, very threatening on the attack specifically. What this kind of can help you do is if you have a lot of interaction, you can use Heart of Dark Ice to like move units in aggressively, and then hold interaction to be able to hold your battlefields better. Like +3 is really relevant. It kind of sucks if you start running out of units though, because you're going to be playing way more aggressively, taking way more aggressive lines with this. The turn you play it is obviously like not that good, but like any future turn, just being able to recurrently give units +3 is like quite good. And if you are like playing Aurelia Legends with this, it is like a recurrent way to get the legend proc off of this. So we're gonna say it's a B-. We're gonna say it's B-. I kind of like Heart of Dark Ice. Janna Savior. So 3 and a green reaction. 3 and a green for a 3 might unit. Has reaction. When you play me, heal your units here, then move an enemy unit from here to its base. So it's kind of like Fight or Flight on a sick that helps protect some of your bigger units. It is a unit that you theoretically could put into your chosen champion zone, but I don't think I would, because you want this to be a surprise. You want like them to use some kind of damage-based removal that doesn't quite kill the unit, and then push the unit back, you know? The thing is, in limited, that's pretty... In limited, that's like pretty niche. That's a pretty niche effect. So I don't think it's going to be that good. and 3 energy and 1 power for 3 might units, like not that good. So I'm gonna say this is like a C. I'll put this as a C because like at the very least having a reaction 3 might, like you can think of it as like a combat trick that you can just put 3 might onto a battlefield and move something away. So it has blowout potential. So I'll put it as a C. I think it's an okay. It's an okay out of 10. Jack's unmatched, 5 and a green for a 5 might unit. It has deflect. Each equipment in your hand has quick draw. It gains reaction when you play it. Attach it to a unit you control. Having quick draw on all your equipment is quite nice. It gets to bypass a lot of the downside of equipment, which is it's really expensive. If I am playing the Jack's deck and I have a lot of equipment, I think I'm pretty happy to play this card. Deflect is like somewhat reasonable, and then you can like play Jack's in your base. Wait until your next turn for you untap, and then he's like really threatening because your opponent doesn't know how much equipment you're gonna have in your deck or in your hand. The problem is like you probably don't want to have that much equipment in your hand. You probably like with a Jack's deck you probably want like 6 equipment, so you're gonna have like 1 to 2 equipment at the time at which you play Jacks. It's like kind of reasonable, kind of nice, but also like a little bit suspect. If you like don't have any equipment in your hand, then like 5 and a green for 5 might is like not that good. I would probably put that at like a C- range. I think the upside is like, the upside's real, the upside's there. So it's like somewhere in the C plus range. We'll put it at C plus for a Jack's deck. C plus for a Jack's deck. Needlessly large Yordle. So there's a 10 and triple green for a 5 might unit with shield 5. It has tank. I cost 2 and a green less for each point you scored from holding this turn. So let's pretend you held both points this turn. It would be 6 and a green for a 5 might unit that defends as a 10 and has tank. This is like really the definition of a win more card. If you're already winning, this card is good. If you're not already winning, this card is horrible. This card is horrible. This card is horrible. And like, are you really holding both battlefields? Are you really holding both battlefields? That's like so suspect. 6 and a green for a 5 might unit, so it's still vulnerable to a lot of damage based removal because it only has 10 when it's actually defending. D? D minus? F? D minus. You're playing this, let's pretend you hold 1 point, you're 8 and 2 greens for this. That's not that good. F. F for needlessly large Yordle. Steric's Gauge, 3 and 2 green for a gear that has quick draw and a quick cost of green, and it gives +3. So it's the same cost of Windwall. It's +3 and it gets to stay on the board. It's like kind of nice. It's quite nice. The quick draw makes it a lot better. I think this card is like fine. If you're a really equipment focused deck, I'm pretty happy playing this card. I'll probably put it at like a C. I'm not like a super huge fan of equipment. +3 is relevant, but the 2 recycle is like very significant, especially if you're holding it up for potential interaction. Aurelia Fervent, 5 energy for 4 might unit. It has deflect, and when you choose or ready me, give me +1 energy this turn. This is obviously like way better of a card in constructed than it is in limited, because you can actually build your deck to be able to support this unit. The nice thing is like if you're playing a Jack's deck, you could play this unit in your chosen champion zone. That's like actually quite good. It's always gonna be like at minimum like a 5 energy for a 5 might unit on the attack. The problem is it like holds as a 4, which is like not that great. That's like one of the problems that with Aurelia when I was like playtesting into it, is that like holding as a 4 is like not that good. Like it kind of dies to a lot of stuff. The deflect is like somewhat relevant, but into any like medium-sized unit, she kind of just accidentally dies. And if you don't have like a bunch of guardian angels and stuff to support it, I don't think she's that good. So I think Aurelia Fervent is probably in like the C- range for limited. Orin Blacksmith, so 5 and a green for a 5 might unit. When you play me or when I hold, look at the top 4 cards of your main deck. You may reveal a gear from among them and draw it, recycle or rest. This is like quite a good card for any equipment focused deck. Top 4 cards, if you're running 6 equipment in your list, which is probably the upper end of how many equipment you're going to be wanting to run in your list, then the top 4 cards, you're like statistically about correct for getting equipment off this, because approximately 1/4 of your deck is going to be equipment, or is going to be gear, and you're going to have some amount of gear that is not going to be equipment, so I think it's fine. I think it's like a decent card. A decent card. I don't think it's fantastic. It is like 5 mana, potentially draw a card, which is okay. When I hold is not like super relevant, because I don't think 5 might is going to be able to hold particularly well. I'll say it's like a C+. The upside of being able to draw a card is real, and you can still put it as your chosen champion. I would rather put Orin as my chosen champion over Aurelia if I was playing a Jax deck, something like that. Spellswonger, so this is a 3 energy, 1 green equipment with equip cost of 1 energy and 1 green. As this is attached to a unit, copy that unit's text to this equipment's effect text for as long as this is attached to it. This is like an F. Don't play this card. Don't play this card. It's like too niche. Any value that you're getting off it is like very niche. It needs to be equipped to certain units. The benefit that you're going to be getting from it is like really not there. It's an F. Don't play it. Tiana Crown Guard, she's a unit, 7 and 2 green for 4 might unit with deflect. While I'm on a battlefield, opponents can't score points. It's an F, don't play it. She's too vulnerable. She needs to be protected by a tank unit. There's not that many tank units. She's still vulnerable to damage-based removal, even though she has deflect. You're still paying 7 and 2 green for this. It's like too vulnerable. It's an F, don't play it. Alright, on to green. Or onto blue. We're 1/3 of the way through. Holy shit, we're one third of the way through. All right, Aspiring Energy Engineer, 3 and a blue for a 3 might unit. When you play me, return a gear from your trash to your hand. I don't think it's that good. There's not gonna be that many gears from your trash. Like if this was like 3 energy for a 3 might unit with an optional additional cost of paying the green to return the gear, I think this unit would be like actually kind of okay. Because it's just like a normal vanilla creature that has some marginal upside, which is like good. But like having the power cost be forced into the actual cost of the unit, I think is bad. So I think it's worse than like a vanilla 3 energy 3 might unit. So I'm gonna say it's a D+. D+. Blah blah blah. 3 energy 3 might unit. When you play me, ready another friendly mech. There's gonna be some number of times where readying the friendly mech is like relevant. It could be something like if you're going seconds, you played like your 2-drop, they played their 2-drop for turn 1, they like run their 2-drop to conquer, and they play like a 4-drop behind it. You can like run in with your 2-drop, play blah blah blah, ready it, and then like run it back to base so that your 2-drop doesn't die. It's fine. I don't think it's that good. I don't think the upside is really there, so I'm gonna evaluate as if it's a 3 energy 3 might unit vanilla. So that's a C- for me. Chemtech Cask. It's a 1 energy gear. When you play a spell on an opponent's turn, you may exhaust me to play gold gear token exhausted. Don't play this card. This card I think is like pretty reasonable for constructed. I don't think it's good for limited, because you need to have very specific cards in order for the synergy to work, and the upside is like not even that good. Exhausted gear token is like fine, but it's not enough to justify some niche conditions for activation. F, don't play it. Cloth Armor, it's 1 energy gear equipment with quick draw. It has equip cost of blue. It has shield for 2, which means when it's a defender, it gets +2. I think this card's actually really good. I think it's actually really good. So it's a 1 energy +2. So this is like on guard levels of. This is on guard levels of combat trick, and it sticks. It sticks. You can use it continuously. This is really good. This is a really good trick. For 1 mana, holy crap. For 1 mana, that's really good. And no power cost. No power cost. I think this is like low key. Low key, this is like it's C+ B- range. C+ B- range. Let's say it's a B- because I'm optimistic. I want a gear to be playable. And this is probably one of the gears that is the most playable, other than like Guardian Angel. Forecaster, 2 energy for 2 might units. Your mechs have vision. It includes itself, so it's a 2 mana. So it's basically a Mystic Poro that gives your other mechs vision. Mystic Poro is like not something that you would probably play in. It's not something that saw any play in any constructed deck. Would I play this in a limited format? Yeah, probably. It's a 2 mana, 2 energy, 2 might unit. I put this as approximately vanilla. Like the vision is like not super relevant. It's nice. It's like a nice small upside. I would probably put this at like C. C minus. I would take a lot of other 2-drops over this guy, so C minus. Frigid Touch. So it's a 2 energy spell with reaction and repeat for another 2. Give a unit -2 this turn. I think this card is like probably pretty decent. It's 4 energy for -4 or 2 energy for -2. I think it's okay. Probably like a C to C plus range. I'll say it's a C plus. Yeah. It activates Ezreal. If you're playing Ezreal Legend, this activates Ezreal because I'm pretty sure you choose like there's 2 triggers of Frigid Touch, and so that would mean you're choosing the unit twice, which means you get to draw the card from Ezreal if you're playing Ezreal. C plus. Frost Coat Cub, 3 energy for 3 might unit. You may pay blue as an additional cost to play me. When you play me, if you paid the additional cost, give a unit -2 this turn. I think it's pretty decent. It's like Blast Cone Face, kind of. The 3 energy, 3 might gives you the modality. If you're going like seconds, they like play their 2 might unit or 2-drop. You play a 2-drop. They run the 2-drop into an open battlefield conquer. They play a 4-drop behind it. You can play Frostcoat Cub with the additional cost. Shrink the unit that's on the battlefield, run into it, kill it with your 2-drop. And that's like a pretty good turn 1, turn 2 for you. You're pretty happy about that. So I think this is like a C. It's like a C. Gearhead, 5 energy for a 3 might unit. Has accelerate for another 1 energy and a blue. Each equipment attachment gives double its base might bonus. I think this is a bad card. You need to have quite specific gear for this actually to be relevant. If your gear is giving you keywords like shield, I don't think it gives the bonus. So the cloth armor giving shield 2 would still give it shield 2. It wouldn't give it shield 4 or anything like that. So it is like actually pretty specific for what equipment you want to be putting onto this card. I don't think it's good. Probably give it like a D. Probably better give it a D. Blending Poro, 2 energy for a 2 might unit that says when I conquer, play a gold gear token exhausted. I think this card is very good. 2 mana card with 2 energy, 2 mana, 2 energy, 2 might unit that has upside. I'm very happy about that. I would put this as C plus. I like it. Wages of Pain, 3 energy for a spell with hidden and action. Deal 3 to a unit at a battlefield. Play gold gear token exhausted. This might be one of the better removal spells in the set. I think it probably is the B range. Good removal is B, so we'll put it at B. Breakneck Mech. It's 8 and 2 blues for a 7 might unit. Your mechs have deflect and ganking. I enter ready if you control another mech. Okay, so this card is really expensive. 8 and 2 blues. It's the same. Think of this as Watcher. Alright, this is the same cost as Watcher. It's a 7 might unit, comes in ready, assuming you control another mech. If you don't have another mech, this card is really bad. If you don't have another mech, this card is really bad. I'm like assuming you have a mech on this battle on board. It's an okay card. 7 might is significant. The problem is like you're running in, so it is vulnerable to interaction. It's not like Riptide Rex where you just like shoot something for 6. And realistically, you need to view this similar to Riptide Rex because if you're killing a 6 might unit, you're dealing 6 to the unit, right? If they're at 7 and you're running Breakneck Mech in, you're like trading at best and like super vulnerable to literally any interaction at all. So the thing that makes Watcher really nice is like 7 might units go to 4, and that is like really hard to pump 4s up to 7 without accidentally losing the game. And it's also board wide, so it makes your units better into the other battlefield as well. So like compared to Watcher, this card is horrible. Compared to Riptide Rex, I think this card is worse than Riptide Rex. Is this card good? Probably not. I would put this at like a C minus. If you need upside and you are playing a bunch of mechs, I think this card is playable. It's somewhere in the C minus to D plus range. I'm gonna say it's C minus because entering ready is relevant. Entering ready is quite good. Drop Border, 4 energy for a 4 might unit. When you play me, if you control 2 more gear, ready me. Okay, readying is very relevant, as I said. It's hard to get a lot of gear to play in the early game, though. It's really hard. you need to be like a constructed style deck in order to get enough gear into play. You don't want to be just like hard running a lot of gear in your deck, because gear is not unit, and units are very good. So because of that, I want to view this as just a vanilla 4-mana 4, which I said is like approximately a C, probably like leaning towards a C minus, but I think it's a C. Experimental Hexplate. It's 1 energy for an equipment with an equip cost of blue. I am a mech, and also gives +1. I don't think this card is very good because the I am a mech is not going to be super relevant. And the +1 is like okay, but not enough to justify the power cost. So I'm going to put this as like a D, or like a D+, somewhere around that. Pickpocket, 3 energy for a 3 might unit. When you play me, you may kill gear with energy cost no more than 1. If you do, play gold gear token exhausted. If you were looking at the FAQ or like errata sheet that Riot put out, this is allowed to hit gold tokens. So you can snipe your opponent's gold tokens if you want, or snipe their like small gear or small equipment or something like that. It's like fine. It's like a fine. I would view this as like vanilla 3 energy 3 might unit with like an extremely marginal upside. So that would put it at like the C- range. C-. Prize of Progress, 4 and a blue for 3 might unit. When you use an activated ability of a gear, give me +1 this turn. I don't think it's good enough. Using the activated ability of gears is like equipment, like equipping equipment and like Heart of Ice, Heart of Dark Ice, or something like that. There's just not enough in the set for it to be relevant, and the +1 is like also not enough for it to be relevant. It's the goal with this deck is, or with this card, is like you play it as a unit, you attach a gear and make it like really big for the turn that you attach the gear. I don't think it's enough because it has the power cost and because it's understated. If this is a 4 energy card that did not have the power cost, I think it'd be good. I think if it was a 4 energy card that 4 might, it'd be great. But since it has the power cost, I think it's like actually kind of bad. So I put this as D. This is a D. Production Surge, 4 and a blue for a spell. This costs 2 less if you control a mech. Play a 3 might mech unit token to your base. Draw 1. Draw 1 is very relevant. Draw 1 is extremely relevant. Cost 2 less if you control a mech is also very relevant. The reason for that is because there's going to be some number of mech champions, so you can put it into your champion zone, so you're always guaranteed to have a mech that you could trigger off this. So 2 and a blue for 3 might unit, draw 1 is actually really good. It's actually really good. It's kind of like Lecturing Yordle, right? Except higher stats and cheaper, but it has a power cost. I think it's good. I think it's a good card. I would put this in like the C+ to B- range. Probably C+. It's hard to get to B- with just like a unit that just it gives you marginal value. So I'll put it as C+. Rocket Barrage, 4 and a blue for a spell that also has repeat for another 4 and a blue. Choose 1. Deal 4 to a unit in a base. Kill gear. Okay, the in a base is good and bad. Units in base are higher priority for removal because they're more difficult to interact with in terms of combat. Killing a gear is not super relevant, but it could be relevant, which is nice. It is a little bit overcosted. 4 and a blue to deal 4 damage is like, if you think about Voidseeker from Origins, it's deal 4, draw a card, which is like so much better. The flexibility of this card probably makes it playable in limited. I think I would put this. It really depends on what units are being played. I think I would probably give this like a C+ because removal is good. It's somewhere like in the B- to C+ range, but I think it's C+ because it's a little bit overcosted. Temporal Portal, 3 energy for a gear that costs 1 power and taps. Give the next spell you play this turn repeat equal to the cost. Don't play this card. This is like D-. It's like maybe a build around C- or something like that. I don't think there's enough to make it playable. For example, Production Surge, 4 and a blue, costs 2 less if you control a mech. Okay, if you want to play this card, the first activation is 2 and a blue, and then the second one that you're repeating is 4 and a blue. You do not get the, or from my knowledge, you do not get the cost reduction for the repeat, which means like this is probably the theoretical best target if you'd be able to repeat it for 2 and a blue, but you can't because it has a discount on it. So there's like not that many spells that you want that would have repeat, or that don't have repeat that you want repeat on. It's like only removal really that you would want this on, and I don't think it's good enough. It's super niche. The uses that you're getting on it are quite niche. It's expensive because it costs 3 energy, and it needs the power in order to give something repeat. So you're probably not playing at the turn that you're probably not utilizing it the turn that you're playing it. I don't think it's good. I would give it like a D-. I'd give it an F. Fuck this card. F. Bard Mercurial, 4 and a blue for a 4 might unit. You may exhaust your legend as an additional cost to play me. When you play me, if you pay the additional cost, move any number of units to an open battlefield. Moving units to an open battlefield is like not that good. It's like good if you're generating a token the same turn and then playing Bard to move the unit to like give the token like pseudo accelerate. I don't think that's relevant enough though. So you're really paying like 4 and a blue for a 4 might unit, which is not that good. So I'm gonna give Bard a C-. Bellows Breath, 1 and a blue for a spell at action speed with repeat. For 1 and a blue, deal 1 damage to up to 3 units at the same location. I think this card is probably pretty decent, except it's infinitely better constructed than it is in limited. It's pretty expensive, and there's not gonna be that many like gonna be that many 1 might units. So a lot of times you're gonna need to repeat it to deal 2. And a lot of the times the 2 might units are not going to be in the same location. The best is like maybe they have like 2 or 3 units, 2 or 3 2 might units that are in their base that you're able to snipe with Bellows Breath. That's like kind of the ideal case scenario, but I don't think that scenario is going to come up often enough to make this actually that good. So even though it looks super good, I'm going to say it's like a C. We're going to have to see how it plays though. I'm like excited to try out this card in limited, but I think the numbers are like a little bit too small to make it good in limited. So I'm gonna say it's a C. Card Sharp, 3 and Card Sharp for a 3 energy 3 might unit. When you play me, you and each opponent may play a gold gear token exhausted. For each opponent who did, you play a gold gear token exhausted. So it's a 3 energy 3 that gives you a gold, so it like kind of helps semi ramp you, and then sometimes will give you an additional gold, which you probably will. So it's usually like a 3 energy 3 that gives you 2 gold. It's like pretty good. A vanilla 3 energy 3 is usually in like the C- range. I would probably put this in like the C to C+ range because the upside is real and it's there. So I'm gonna say it's a C+. I like it. I like Card Sharp. Ezreal Dashing, 4 and a blue for a 3 might unit. When I attack or defend, deal damage equal to my might to an enemy unit here. I don't deal combat damage, and as blue action, move me to your base. I think this card is actually quite decent. You can like, if you really want to snipe off units, you can like attack in and then just move him back to your base if you want to snipe units. And it costs a blue, but it's like not that bad. It has good synergy with combat tricks and good synergy with equipment. So I think he's like pretty reasonable. He also synergizes with the Ezreal Legend, which is questionable whether or not you want to play him, but it's there. So I think he's probably reasonable. I would probably put him at like a C+, because being able to remove units that are the same size as you for free is nice. And you can also like attack in as a 3, like if they're holding at a battlefield with a 3 might unit, you like attack in, kill the unit, and then when you're defending, you can, ping whatever unit's coming in, and then you just move him back to base. So he's like actually quite sticky. It's hard to get rid of without using spells. Hextech Anomaly, so 3 and a blue for a gear that has tap reaction. Pay any amount of power to add that much energy. Don't play this card. This card's not good. It's not worth deramping yourself. You're not going to get enough gold for this card to actually be usable. I'll give it an F. Jace Man of Progress, 4 energy for 4 might unit. When you play me, you may kill a friendly gear. If you do, you may play gear with energy cost no more than 7 from your hand this turn, ignoring its energy cost. I'm just going to evaluate this card as if it's a 4 mana 4 might unit, so it's a C. Like this combo with Vanguard Armory is not real in limited because you don't run enough copies of either of them. It's probably going to be like 1 copy of Jace and like 2 copies of Vanguard Armory at most, probably 1 copy of Vanguard Armory. it's like a build around C+. Well, it's a build around B+ if you have enough Vanguard armies and enough ways to generate gears that you're happy to sacrifice. It's like a 4-card combo in limited. Like, that's not something that's happening. So just view it as a vanilla 4-mana 4. I'm going to say it's a C. There you go. Ornn, 6 energy for 4 might units, has Deflect 2 and Weapon Master at +1 for each friendly gear. This counts your gold tokens, it counts your equipment, it counts everything. Is it good enough? I don't think so. You need to have gear attached to him for him to be any good, and he is still relatively small. If you have like 1 gear that goes onto him, he's like a 5 might unit. If you have 2 gears, he's like 6 might, which is like when he's on rate. The thing is, like, he only costs 6 energy, so he's like kind of playable. The Deflect 2 is like kind of okay. I think I want to put him at like C-. I think he's gonna be playable, but I don't think he's gonna be that good. World Atlas, 3 energy for an equipment with an equip cost of blue. It gives 2 might, and when I hold, play 2 gold gear tokens exhausted. This is like really the card that's going to be enabling Ornn, but I don't think it's going to be that good because holding is like a pretty difficult condition to meet, and is +2, which is relevant, but I don't think it's enough to enable something to be able to hold that well when there's going to be a lot of ways to interact with your opponent on the attack. So I don't think this card is going to be that good. I think it's in like a D+. Premonition, 2 and 3 blues for a spell that has reaction. Draw 3. I have no idea how to evaluate this card. Usually card draw is pretty decent, but like 3 blue is quite significant, and you're not going to be having that much gold. So you're going to have to like raw dog recycle the 3 blue runes, like 2 to 3 blue runes every time we're playing this. Drawing 3 is very significant, so I think it's probably playable. I think you can run 1 copy of this, and you won't be too sad about running 1 copy of this. I'll probably put it at C. I don't think I would play more copies of this, because if you have 2 in your hand, you're gonna lose the game. I'll put it at C. Renata Glask, 5 energy for 4 might unit. It has 1 activated ability that costs 1 of the blue for draw 1. And it has 4 and 4 blues and tap to score 1 point. Use my abilities only while I'm at a battlefield. I don't think this card is playable. The draw is quite nice. The draw is quite nice. I would consider putting this in my chosen zone, because you can like play her in the late game and just draw 1 million cards and recycle 1 million runes. Like if you're at, say you're at like 10 mana, you play this card, you can recycle 3 runes, you'll be at 9 mana the next turn, which is like still a respectable amount of mana, and you got to draw 3 cards. I think it's pretty okay. Do I like her? A little bit. If she can get onto a battlefield, she's kind of good. Drawing is very relevant. It's just kind of late in the game. It's kind of too late in the game to be playing like weak units that are like good value. I'll put her at C+, but I really have no idea how to evaluate her, I'm not gonna lie. Rumble Scrapper, 5 and a blue for 4 might unit. Your mechs have +1, including me. When I hold, play a 3 might mech unit token to your base. So this card is always going to be 5 and a blue for a 5 might unit, and has an aura that gives all your mechs +1, and he also gets the upside of being able to generate free mechs. I think this card is probably a B. He seems like a little bit vulnerable, and he's a little bit expensive, but his upside's there. Giving all units an unconditional +1 is good, because it makes your other battlefields stronger, and then if you can get the hold trigger to get 1 unit, you're like super, super happy. He's very, very significant. So I'm going to put him at B, but I think he might be like a little bit lower. He might be like a B-, but recurrent value is very tempting for me. So I'll say B. Zero Drive, 3 energy for a gear equipment that has equip of 1 in a blue. It has an activated ability of 3 in a blue for banish this. Play all units banished with this, ignoring the costs. And then it has the actual equip text box of saying Death Knell, banish me, and this gives +2 might. Don't play this card. I don't think this card is good enough. I would rather play World Atlas than to play this card. Would I rather play Will Ellis? Maybe I'd play this card over Will Ellis. It's probably better than Will Ellis. I'll put a D. I don't think this card's good though. It's like it has some recurrent value, but it's like so expensive. It is so ridiculously expensive. All right, on to orange. Boo-Roo Captain. 3 and an orange for a 3 might unit. When you play me, you may draw 1 or buff me. So you're paying 3 and an orange for a 4 might unit, or you're paying 3 and an orange for a 3 might unit that draws you a card. That's quite decent. It's like a little bit early in the game to be recycling runes. So I would be hesitant to put like many copies of this and rely on him as like an okay card, but he like feels kind of like Clockwork Keeper-esque, which is like fine. He's a fine out of 10. 3 mana, 3 vanilla, I put at roughly a C minus. So if you're paying an energy or paying a power for that, but you're potentially drawing, it's like more or less cancels it out. So I'll put this at a C. Drawing cards is relevant, especially in the later game. I'll put this at a C. Combat Chef, 5 energy for 5 might unit, Weapon Master, and that's it. 5 mana, 5, I think I was putting it roughly a C minus. How relevant is Weapon Master? If you have a bunch of weapons in your deck, it's like pretty reasonable as in like a medium to high end card. Probably put this as like a C. Put it as a C. Dauntless Vanguard, 4 and an orange for a 4 might unit. You may play me to an occupied enemy battlefield. It is half of a dead bloom. Exactly half of a dead bloom, because dead bloom's 8 and 2 orange for an 8 might unit. This is 4 and an orange for a 4 might unit. I think this card is very good. This card is very, very good. Dead bloom is an extremely good card. You're playing this on turn 2 to just like wipe somebody off the face of the earth. You're pretty happy. I think it's quite good. I'd probably put this at like B? B minus? B? I like B. Put it at B. Dire Wing, 7 energy for a 7 might unit. I enter ready if you control another dragon. I like have no clue how many dragons there are in this set. 7 energy, not having to recycle anything for a readied 7 might unit is like actually quite good. So I'm gonna say it's like a build around B minus. Build around B minus. If you have a lot of dragons in your deck, say if you have 5 or more dragons in your deck that are not Dire Wing, I think this card is like a B minus. If you don't have that many dragons, it probably falls closer to like a C. As long as you have like literally any dragons, it's like a C. If you like have 0 dragons in your deck, it's probably like a C minus to like a D plus. Doran's Blade, 2 energy for an equipment that has an equip cost of orange. It gives +2 might. And this card's actually pretty decent. It is still expensive. Again, like this recycling stuff for the equip cost is like very, very, very expensive, especially in the early game where these +2, +3 is like the most relevant in the early game. It's okay. It's okay. You really want to be running like Weapon Master units to make this card good. And you don't want to be running too many of these. It's hard to evaluate equipment, so I'm going to say it's a C minus. I'll say it's a C minus. It's one of the better gears. Is it better than Cloth Armor? No, it's like way worse than Cloth Armor. It's a C minus. Cloth Armor I put at C. Laurent Bladekeeper, 3 energy for a 3 might unit with ganking. I just view this as a vanilla 3 energy 3 might unit, so I'm going to say C minus for this. I don't think ganking is very relevant here. Punch First, 1 and 2 orange for a spell at action speed, giving you +5 this turn. This is like a really good card. This is a really good card. I think this is like a B. This is a B. You view this as like a good removal spell. It's a B. It's like edging towards B+, but I think it's a B. Sea Monkey, 2 energy for a 2 might unit. When you may pay 1 energy as an additional cost to play me. When you play me, if you pay the additional cost, buff me. So it's either 2 energy for a 2 might unit or 3 energy for a 3 might unit. I think I actually put this as like a C or a C+. Probably a C, because it makes your turn 1 like guaranteed. You're either playing just a vanilla 2/2 2 energy 2 might unit for on turn 1 going first, or a 3 energy 3 might unit going second. I think it's a C because it fills in your curve a little bit better, gives you just a little bit of extra value. I don't think there's a lot of ways to like pay off getting a lot of buffs in this set, so you don't really think of it as like a 2 might unit with a buff. You think of it as like a 3 might unit. So C. Veteran Poro, 2 energy for 2 might unit with Weapon Master. It's not going to be... Weapon Master is not relevant for this unit because it's too early in the game for you to have like good weapons or good equips out unless you're going second and have a 1 energy equip in your hand. Then it's good. But like you really want to be playing this turn 1 if you can. So I think it's a C-. You'll Explorer, 4 energy for 4. When you play a card with power cost 2 energy or more, draw 1. Or 2 power cost or more, draw 1. There's not like a ton of cards that have that. It's like Punch First and like some Sivir units that get there. I think this is like a mostly vanilla 4 energy 4 might unit that like occasionally will draw you a card. Maybe 1 every 3 times you play this, you'll draw 1 card. Or 1 every 2 to 3 times you play this, you'll draw 1 card. So I will view it as negligible upside. Like a draw 1's like very significant. But like if you're not getting it consistently, it's pretty bad. So I'll say this is a C. Fey Dragon, 7 and orange for a 7 might unit. When you play me, buff up to 4 friendly units. When you spend a buff, play a gold gear token exhausted. There's like not good ways to spend buffs in this set, so you really need to look at it as like 7 and an orange for a 7 might unit that buffs up to 4 friendly units. It's like hard to have 4 friendly units in play because of, you know, the amount of combat that's gonna be going on. So realistically, you're buffing like 2 to 3 units, probably 2 units, and that's like good enough, I think. So it's like 7 and orange for 9 might. More or less, pretty good. I'd probably put this as like a C+, maybe. It's like a pretty reasonable upper end card to be playing. It doesn't quite get into the B range because it doesn't like win you the game, but C+, like probably biasing towards C. It's like, yeah. Hex Drinker, 2 energy, gear, and equipment with an equip cost of orange with gives the unit deflect and +1 might. I would like rather play Doran's Blade over this because the deflect probably isn't relevant enough, and the +1 versus +2 is really relevant. So I think if I rated Doran's Blade a C-, Hex Drinker is like a D+. Jawlfish, 7 and 2 orange for a 6 might unit with Accelerate. I cost 2 less for each of your mighty units. So that would mean that if you have 1 mighty unit, it costs 5 and 2 orange. You can accelerate it for 6 and 3 orange. That's like really expensive. This card is extremely expensive, and you can't even rely on having multiple mighty units. If you have multiple mighty units, like you're probably in a pretty good spot already. I think I want to put this card at like a D+. It's like in the C+, the C- to D+ range. The problem is it's so expensive, and 6 is like not a great number to be at. You'd like really much rather be at 7. So I'm gonna say this is a D+. You'd rather play other higher end units than this one. Petrocite Monument is 2 energy for a gear. It is temporary. Friendly units have deflect. Don't play this card. This card is unplayable. It's an F. Don't play it. Ruin Runner, 6 energy for a 5 might unit. I can't be chosen by any spells and abilities. It's like maybe playable. It's really hard to tell without actually playing the set whether or not this card is going to be actually good. It can't be chosen by any spells or abilities, but it can certainly die. This card is very dieable, and you are under rate. 5 energy is like, or 5 might is like a decent amount worse than 6 might. And it doesn't stop you from just dying from like an assault or the thing that buffs something by +2 or something like that. So I'm like pretty worried that this card's like not gonna be that good. So I'm gonna say it's a C-, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. Show of Strength is 2 and an orange for a spell. At reaction speed, draw 1 for each of your mighty units. I think this card is not good. You need to have 2 mighty units for this card to be playable at all. And if you're playing this with 3 mighty units, we're really happy. If you're playing this with 1 mighty unit, you're like still pretty depressed. And this card is absolutely unplayable if you don't have any mighty units. So I'm gonna say that's an F. Don't play this card. Strike down, 3 and an orange for a spell. Choose an equipped friendly unit. It deals damage equal to its might to an enemy unit, then detach an equipment from it. This card is actually quite decent. You kind of view it as challenge, except you're not at risk of your own unit dying. Detaching the equipment does kind of suck, so you view this more as like 3 energy and 2 power for this card to work. So I think it's like good removal, but it's not like great removal. I probably put this at like somewhere between like C and a C+. The problem is it also requires the friendly unit to... you need a friendly unit, You need an equipped friendly unit. You need an opponent unit that you want to remove that is also smaller, equal to or smaller than the equipped friendly unit you already have. So it has a lot of conditions for it to be actually good. The upside is there because you are hitting any unit. It doesn't have to be out of the battlefield or anything. So I think it's about a C to a C minus. If you're an equipment focused deck, I would probably put this as C. If you're like don't have that many equipment, it's like in the D. It's like D. Well, if you have 0 equipment, it's obviously an F, but you're gonna have like some number of equipment in your deck probably. So like C to C minus. Warmog's armor is 1 energy and 1 energy for an equipment that has an equip cost of orange. When I conquer, buff me, and it also gives +1 on its own. So it's like 1 energy gear that gives +1, but if you conquer, it gives +2. The problem is like, is this better than Doran's Blade? It's 1 energy cheaper than Doran's Blade, but I don't really fear the energy costs of these equipments too much. I fear the power cost of these equipments, and the power cost is the same between Doran's Blade and Warmog's armor. So I would say it's approximately just as the same as Doran's Blade. So it's like it's a C minus. A C minus. Akshan is 4 energy and 4 might. 4 energy for 4 might unit with Weapon Master. You may pay 2 orange power as an additional cost to pay me. When you play me, if you pay the additional cost, move an enemy gear to your base. You control it until I leave the board. If it's an equipment, attach it to me. This card is like really difficult to evaluate because it's hard to say how many equipment there are that's like this card is actually going to be good for. If there's like a ton of Vanguard armor floating around, which there might be, this card is good, but it is like somewhat vulnerable because it is 4 and like 2 orange, which is like pretty significant. And then if it dies, it returns the equipment back. So it's like a little bit suspect. I think I'm gonna put it as a C+. I'll put it as a C+ because there is gonna be some number of equipment floating around, and if you're playing against a deck that doesn't have any equipment, you can just side it out in games 2 and 3. Fiora is 3 and an orange for a 3 might unit. When I attack or defend one-on-one, double my might this combat. It's above rate pretty significantly because it attacks as a 6, and there's going to be some amount of removal in your deck to ensure that one-on-ones are happening. Defending is a like people aren't going to be wanting to run multiple units into Fiora because it risks getting blown out. So say you're like a 3 might unit, you're Fiora, and they're running in with like a 1 and a 2 to try and trade with like optimal scenario. If you remove one of those units, all of a sudden Fiora's a 6, right? Or if you buff Fiora, she goes up to like a 4 and they're losing 2 cards for 1. So Fiora I think is actually probably going to be pretty decent. A vanilla 3 energy 3 I rate normally at like a C minus, so I think Fiora is going to be like a somewhere around C plus to B minus. She does require like some amount of support, so I will say it's a C plus. You know what? Fiora's a B minus. Fiora's a B minus. She doesn't need that much support, and like she can get pretty significantly bigger with buffs. So C, B minus, B minus. Here to help, 2 and an orange for a spell that has hidden and is also at action speed. You may play a unit from your hand to a battlefield you control, reducing its cost by 3. This card is also like really difficult to evaluate. It does risk a lot of getting blown out because you're spending this card. So you have a unit at a battlefield. You need to spend this card, and you're also putting in another unit. So this is like a 3 card investment to actually get value out of. If they are running 1 unit in and forcing this card out and have additional interaction in hand, it's like, and this unit managed to live and kill everything using that 1 piece of interaction, it's a 1 for 3. So it's like really scary to use this card. You also need to hold like a pretty good amount of mana up in order to actually utilize this card. So I think I'm going to put it at like a D+. There's going to be some times when this is playable, and most of the time it's not going to be playable. Kato the Arm. So there's a 4 and an orange for a 3 might unit. Has deflect. When I move to a battlefield, give a friendly unit my keywords and might plus might equal to my might this turn. It needs to be another friendly unit. I think they errata this card to be another friendly unit, so he can't give himself deflect and +3 might. This means that he's actually like pretty vulnerable. If you're running in, like, being at 3 is not very good, because if you're running into a unit, into a battlefield with like any significant amount of units, then this unit dies. And then the other unit is kind of exists on board, and it's probably not a very good unit, so they will die on the swing back. So you're using like pretty significant amount of resources to get this online. Because of that, I think I'm gonna say a D+. I don't think this card is a card that you're gonna be wanting to put in your deck. Lucian Merciless, 3 energy for a 3 might unit. It has Weapon Master. The first time I conquer each turn, ready me. I think this card is actually quite good. Weapon Master is relevant. The first time I conquer each turn, ready me means that he can conquer and run back, which is quite good because then he's not as vulnerable to removal, and you can kind of get recurring value out of him. He kind of feels a little bit like Vayne from Origins, except cheaper and better than Vayne. So I think I'll put this as a B-. He's like a solid unit, but I don't think he's ever going to like solo win you games for you. And he's still vulnerable to interaction as well. Marching Orders, 3 energy for a spell at action speed with repeat 3. Choose a friendly unit anywhere and an enemy unit at a battlefield. They deal damage equal to their mights to each other. I don't think this card is very good because, first of all, the enemy unit has to be at a battlefield. Second of all, the repeat means that the health doesn't heal in between these triggers, which means that like you're not really able to leverage your big unit twice for this, or else your big unit could realistically die, unless you want to like 2 for 1. If you have like an 8 might unit and they have 2 6 might units at a battlefield, you can use Marching Order to like kill it twice, which is fine, I guess, but I think it's like pretty niche. The problem, like the thing that makes it so much worse than Challenge, is that Challenge gets to hit anywhere, and this is only at a battlefield. And units at a battlefield are already vulnerable to removal. You don't need this fight type of effect. You don't need this fight type of effect in order to kill units at battlefields. You're going to be fighting them anyways by just running them in. It's only good to like give your unit like pseudo ganking, I guess, if you're already on another battlefield and you want to use that card to fight things. I don't think it's that good though, so I'm probably going to put it at like a D. Trinity Force, 4 energy for an equipment, equip cost of orange. When I hold, score 1 point. I'm tempted to put this card to be like quite decent, because it means that you can like focus only on holding and you don't really need to interact with the other battlefields. Say like your opponent is like very, very solid on their battlefield and you're really, really solid on your battlefield. It's like Green Ari, where you can force them to come into your battlefield by like putting Trinity Force onto units, and it's like recurring, because if your unit that has Trinity Force on it dies, you can just equip it the next turn and threaten the exact same thing, as long as they're not winning the next turn. The +2 makes the unit that this is on harder to remove as well. So unlike Ari, where Ari is a 4 might unit, you just like run in and deal the 4 might and you're like chilling. Here it's like, oh, if my 4 might unit has this, it's a 6, so you need to invest 6 might worth of units in order to kill this, and then just re-equip the next turn to make it good. So I'm like kind of talking myself into Trinity Force being good. The problem is like really expensive. So I think this is like a situational card that's like okay and can win you the games. So I'm like really tempted to put this at B-. I think you need to be like specifically a slower deck that really wants to hold and play slowly. I would put this at like B-, your first copy, and then like any additional copies gets like more and more suspect. You need to really be like a hold focused deck. And your opponent also needs to be a hold focused deck with very bad removal. Yone Blademaster. So this is a card that you're going to get for free as a promotional card. So this is one of the reasons that you might want to go into orange, because this card is actually quite good. It's 5 in orange for a 5 might unit that has Weapon Master. When I conquer an open battlefield, deal damage equal to my might to an enemy unit in base. This makes it really, really scary for your opponent to leave anything valuable in base, and it also makes it really scary for your opponent to leave battlefields open, as well as leave battlefields with like small amounts of might, because you could like run a 2 might unit in. If they're holding with a 2 might unit and you run a 2 might unit and they just kill each other, then Yone can walk in and just kill something at base. Very good recurrent value. I think I want to give Yone like a B+. Maybe even like in the A range, but probably B+ for now. So just note that if you're like opening an orange pack, you're probably going to be playing Yone, and he is allowed to be your chosen champion. So I think this card is going to be like really, really good, and probably like meta warping for pre-rift events because of how widely distributed he's going to be. Ancient Henge is 2 and an orange for a gear that has tap reaction, pay any amount of energy to add that much power. I don't think it's good, because it's just a gear that helps with your resources, and I don't think it's good, so we'll give it a D. I think there's a world where you can make this work. It's a very niche world. Bone Chipper is 3 energy for an equipment with an equip cost of 1 and an orange. When I conquer, channel 1 rune exhausted, and it gives the unit +2. I think this card is like maybe playable. The channeling rune helps refund the equip costs. +2 is like a little bit on the small side though, for equipment. So I think I want to put this at like a C-, and I'm like happy to be proven wrong on this one because this is a pretty cool card. Jack's Unrelenting is 4 and an orange for a 3 might unit. It has Weapon Master. When you attach equipment to me, you may pay 1 to draw 1. That's like really good, right? Because that means you can pay this for 4 and an orange for a unit that comes down with Weapon Master and then also draws you a card. Very, very, very nice. I'll put it at a B because drawing cards is very good. And he can also go into the Chosen Champion Zone, and you're going to have some amount of equipment, and you can recurrently get value. So you play him, and you'll get the draw, and then like the following turn you can like play equipment, and it kind of feeds itself. The more you draw through your deck, the more you're going to have equipment. The more equipment you have, the more you're going to be able to draw. So it kind of feeds itself. I'll put him at B. Sivir Ambitious is 6 and 3 orange for a 7 might unit with Deflect 2. When I conquer after an attack, if you assign 5 or more excess damage to enemy units, you may deal that much to an enemy unit. I don't think the line of like dealing that much to an enemy unit is super relevant. Like, it's obviously good, but it does require some amount of support, and like the triple orange is pretty crazy, and there isn't really a way to accelerate her to get value off rip, so she's like an incredibly expensive unit to play. I think I want to put her at like somewhere around B or B-, just because she's like so strong, and the actual dealing excess damage means that your combat tricks are going to be really, really good, and your equipment is going to be really, really good, even if you're just like super giga overkilling things. Like if your Sivir is at 10 might and she attacks into a 2 might unit, she gets to nuke something for 8, which is like super good, and I think it will line up, and there will be relevant targets for this to actually be good. So I think I'm going to put this at like a B-, just because she's so expensive. Alright, so moving on to purple. Okay, Black Market Broker, 3 energy for a 3 might unit. When you play a card from face down, play a gold gear token exhausted. There's not like a ton of hidden cards, and like hidden cards, there's not a ton that you're like really, really wanting to flip like quickly. Like there's no like Consultapast style cards where you just like get straight value. A lot of them are like combat trick style. And I don't think there's like many units that have hidden in this set, so there's like not a ton that you need to worry about. So I think you're like really not getting that many triggers off this guy. I think you're like maybe getting 1 every 2 games that you're playing with this guy. So I think it's like mostly a vanilla 3 energy 3 might unit. So I'm gonna say C- for Black Market Broker. Called Shot. So this one's like super hard to evaluate. So this 0 energy and 1 purple power cost on an action speed spell with repeat for purple. Look at the top 2 cards of your main deck, draw 1 and recycle the other. So this is like a really, really, really difficult card to evaluate. You are de-ramping yourself every time you're playing this card, which does kind of suck. You get some card selection, and if you're repeating it for 2 purple, you get to go +1. You get to draw an additional card. Because you're looking at the top 2 cards, drawing 1, and then looking at the top 2 cards and drawing 1. So it's a 0 mana draw 2. So like from a pure like from a pure value perspective, like this card is really, really good. Like you can kind of look at it as like a mini premonition. Like premonition's 2 and 3 power to draw 3. This is like 0 and 2 power to draw 2, but you're like looking at the top 4 and drawing 2. So it's like it's really, really hard to evaluate. My guess is like you'll probably want like some copies of Called Shot in your deck, maybe like 1 or 2 copies of Called Shot. I just have no idea like how good this card is. So I think I'm just gonna say, you know, it's okay and just throw it at C and just see where it goes from there. Not 100% convinced that this card is good, because deramping yourself in like this tempo style formats is like not really what you want to be doing. I think the card selection might be worthwhile, but you will be wanting to repeat this just to like actually get value from this card instead of just recycling a rune for fun, you know? So we'll call it a C. We'll call it a C. Corrupt Enforcer, so it's 3 and a purple for a 4 energy or 4 might unit. When I move to a battlefield, discard 1. When I win a combat, draw 1. So this is like also a really hard card to evaluate. It is above right because it's 3 energy and a 1 power for 4 might unit. When you're moving him to like an open battlefield, you're just discarding 1 for fun. But he's like kind of traveling merchant-esque, where he discard 1, draw 1 when you're moving to conquer like combat in a battlefield. There's also the benefit that if someone's attacking into Corrupt Enforcer and you remove it in some way, but they still initiate the combat showdown, then Corrupt Enforcer will still let you draw cards. So I think this card is probably like pretty reasonable. If you have like a decent amount of interaction to help him kind of move him to card positive, then I think he's actually really good. If you just like move him onto a battlefield and just stick him there and just see if your opponent wants to risk you drawing a bunch of cards by running into the Corrupt Enforcer, then I think this card is actually quite reasonable. I think I want to put him at like a C+, like so like low key he might even be like the B- range. I just don't know how easy / hard it's gonna be to protect this card. Like the disaster case is if you like run him in to win a combat and then he gets removed before he actually wins the combat. He just like ran in and discarded a card, right? So it is like a little bit suspect. But I think in the early game, like the earlier you play this guy, like the harder it is to like effectively remove him. So I think he's gonna, like, if you can get him established onto a battlefield, he's probably like the B- range. I'm just worried about how easy that's gonna be. So I'm just gonna put him at C+ and see where he goes from there. Dora's Ring is 1 energy gear equipment with an equip cost of 1 purple. When I conquer, discard 1, then draw 1, and it gets +1 might. It's like kind of traveling merchant-esque. I don't think it's good enough to see play, because like this cheap equipment is like difficult to justify running. +1 might is not like, I don't think it's enough to really justify the whole entire card that you're investing into this. Like it does help you filter a bit, but it's like only on conquer they discard 1, draw 1, so like you're not helping the card. The card filtering isn't like that good for if you're trying to like dig for combat tricks to try and attack into something, and if you're like moving away from a battlefield like traveling merchant, you wouldn't be able to get a discard 1, draw 1. So I don't think it's like super useful. My guess is probably like the D+ range. Fey Porter is 4 energy for 4 might units. When I move to battlefield, you may pay purple to move a unit you control to the same battlefield. I don't think it's like super relevant. I don't think it's good to be stacking multiple units onto battlefields, because battlefields are actually somewhat vulnerable. You're way more vulnerable in battlefield than you are in base, so you don't really care about moving a unit you control to the same battlefield, and paying the cost is like not that good. So I'll just evaluate as like 4 energy for my unit, which I was putting at like roughly C, so C. Loyal Pup is 3 energy 3 might unit. When you defend at a battlefield, you may move me there. It's a may, which is nice. It kind of is similar to like Green Azir, if you remember what I was talking about that. It's like it can sit on a battlefield and threaten to defend at both battlefields, which is nice, or either battlefield, which means that like if you have like 2 might on this battlefield and 2 might on this battlefield, and your Loyal Pup at base, your opponent needs to respect it as if you had 5 might on both battlefields, you know? So I think it's like fine. I think the upside is real, and I think people need to respect it. It is like a little bit vulnerable to interaction, but like everything's vulnerable to interaction, so I don't think it's like that bad. I was rating like vanilla 3 energy 3 might units as like a C-. I think this probably goes to like a C. just because of the flexibility. Like, you don't even have to move it. If you think your opponent is like holding up a bunch of interaction, you don't even have to move it. So I think it's reasonable. I think it's fine. Master Bing Wen. So this is 6 energy for 6 might unit that has Weapon Master. This is like very similar to the orange one, like the 4 or 5 energy, 5 might with Weapon Master. I think they're both the same good or bad. I don't remember what I rated. I think I rated that one like a C-, so I'll just put this guy as a C- as well. If you compare them to like the green common, that's like, oh, when I hold, you can return a unit or a gear to my hand. I think this is like roughly the same power level as that, and I think I gave that one a C-, so I think this one at C- is pretty reasonable. Overzealous Fan is 2 energy for a 2 might unit. When I defend, you may kill me to move an attacking unit to his base. This one's like kind of suspect. I think it's okay. The play pattern is okay. If you like play it as your 2-drop, and then your opponent plays their 2-drop, and then, sorry, let's pretend you're going second, right? They play their 2-drop, you play your 2-drop, that is Overzealous Fan. They run onto the open battlefield, you run on, run onto open battlefield and play a 4-drop. You run onto open battlefield and play a 4-drop. If they run into your Overzealous Fan to threaten it, like your Overzealous Fan's gonna die anyways, so you might as well push their unit back and then like kill your Overzealous Fan, and you're stopping your opponent from scoring 1 extra point. I think it's like okay. I don't think it's fantastic. I'm sure there are like some uses, like for the like Chemtech Betrayer, Enforcer, or whatever it is. Like an Overzealous Fan can be useful there as well. So I think it's probably like an okay card. I don't think it like really gets much additional value other than just being like a 2 energy 2 might unit. So I think I'm gonna keep it at like the C- level, but I don't think you'll be like too sad to play Overzealous Fan because he does have upside. Temptation is 2 energy for a spell that has repeat for 2. Move an enemy unit to a location where there's a unit with the same controller. I think this card's fine. It's like kind of fight or flight-esque. Well, it's kind of like Charm, actually, realistically. Except it can't be used as a removal spell. It's kind of purely as a tempo spell. I think it's fine to have like 1 copy of this to try and like break holds and win the game. But you're really not getting that much value out of this. It's just purely to try and win the game. So you really don't want to be playing multiple copies of this. I really don't think you do. The only other way is like if you have like a really good attack, you can like move units in to just attack into them and just like murder them or something like that. But I think that application is like a little bit suspect as well. So I think I'm gonna put Temptation at like a D+. You might be able to get away with playing 1 copy at like the C- level, but I wouldn't really recommend it. Treasure Hunter is 2 energy for a 1 might unit. When I move, play a gold gear token Exhausted. This unit is kind of interesting. If you're going first, it's pretty good because you can just like play it and run it into a battlefield guaranteed, and then you can play like a 3 or 4 drop on top of it to try and discourage your opponent from running into the Treasure Hunter with their 2-drop. It like kind of has struggles in the same way that like Soaring Scout and Watchful Sentry struggle, which is like it's really vulnerable to the opposing 2-drops, and they kind of just accidentally die. And if you're trading like your full Treasure Hunter for a gold gear token, when you it's like you're trading a point because it's dying when it shouldn't be dying. Like when normal 2-drop wouldn't be dying. It's like okay, it's okay. I think Treasure Hunter probably gets to C, a C level. Like it probably promotes from a C- that like a typical 2 energy unit is gonna be to like a C. But I don't think it'll be like as crazy good as it is in constructed play. Ancient Warmonger is 5 energy for a 4 might unit with Accelerate for 1 in the purple. I have Assault equal to the number of enemy units here. So it basically gets +1 for each enemy unit that's going into there. So we're paying 6 and a purple for like a 5 might unit, I guess. So that would be like comparable to like a bad Kaisa. I don't know. I think it's a little bit too expensive. The Accelerate, it always makes units like pretty relevant. And if you're attacking it as a 5 or attacking it as 6, it's probably pretty reasonable. I think I'm gonna put this card as like a C. I think it's like a reasonable card to put. Accelerate, I think, is always gonna make cards like slightly better than what they're gonna look like on face value. I don't think this card's like fantastic, but I think I'm happy to put it as C. Boots of Swiftness is 3 energy for a gear equipment that has a equip cost of purple. It gives the unit ganking and also gives it +2 might. There are like some relevant uses for Boots of Swiftness. Like if you hold onto a battlefield with like a decent unit, you can play Boots of Swiftness, attach it immediately, and then gank onto the other battlefield. It is reasonable, but it is like kind of win-more-y, you know, like if you're already holding, you're already pretty happy. Like there's not like a ton of relevance for this. The real relevance is like when you're like moving units to and from battlefields, and you can't afford to like move it back to base and move it onto the battlefields, and you can like just instantly press gank and then have it go over. So I think it has more uses in constructed play than limited, so I think I'm going to give it a D+. A lot of this like slightly underwhelming equipment I think falls in like the D+ range more so than it does in the C range. Cull is 1 energy for a gear equipment that also has the equip cost of 1 purple. When I conquer, play a gold gear token exhausted, and it gives it +1 might. I also don't think that this card is going to be that good. I'm not like a super huge fan of these cheap equipments because of how expensive they are to play. The one benefit of Cull is it does like kind of refund the power cost that you're using to play for this, which is nice. So if you like attach it onto a unit and then it conquers, and you create the gold gear token exhausted, the next turn, like if the unit dies, you can attach Cull essentially for free using the gold gear token that it created itself. So it's kind of like a positive feedback loop. So I think it is like reasonable to play. It's just a little bit expensive the first time you're attaching it, but it kind of pays for itself later, and you get like the +1 for free. So I don't know if it's like quite worth the card. I'll put it at C- because I do think it's like more playable than a lot of the other gears, but I don't think it's like a good card. Factory Recall is 1 energy for a spell. At action speed, return a gear to its owner's hand. Don't play this card. I don't think it's relevant. Yeah, don't play this card. F. Hard Bargain. 2 energy for a spell at reaction speed with repeat for 2. Counter spell unless its controller pays 2. So you can pay 2 for them to pay an additional 2 for their spell, or you can pay 4 for them to pay an additional 4 for their spell. This effect is really strong in limited Magic. However, limited in Magic, units are spells, so you can counter units. This one only counts as spells, can't counter gears, can't counter units, so it's like a lot less good. Holding up the 2 mana for this is like does kind of suck, and you like risk yourself being down a bunch of mana effectively by just playing for this card too much. So I think I'm gonna put this at like the C- level. I think the first copy you play is probably okay. Like the C to C- level, I think the first copy is good. I don't think you really want to run more than 1 copy of this card though. The spell is like too niche. There's going to be a lot of times where you're just playing units and you're not really going to be happy holding the mana up for this. Harpoon Squad is 4 energy for a 4 might unit. When I move from a battlefield, give me +2 might this turn. This is like almost not relevant at all. I don't see this really being used. It's mostly an Irelia card. But Irelia, I don't know if they're really going to want to use this. You're investing like a lot of energy and a lot of power to get this to be like a 6 might unit, and I don't think the payoffs there. So we're just gonna treat this as a vanilla 4 mana 4. So I'm gonna say it's a C for Harpoon Squad. Windsinger is 2 energy for a 1 might unit that has hidden. When you play me, you may return another unit at a battlefield with 3 might or less to its owner hand. So it is Gusts on a stick. I kind of like it. If you're like, it is at a battlefield, so you're not really going to be playing this on turn 1, but I think it's probably pretty reasonable. The hidden is like not that bad. I don't know if it gets like above that, like a typical 2 energy 2 might unit is like a C-. I don't know if this gets like that much above. I don't think it gets that much above C-. I think as a sideboard card, especially against like Azir, it's going to be like a C or a C+. But I think on base rate, I'm just going to say it's a C- for now. I kind of like it, but I am not 100% convinced because the 1 power is like a significant downgrade from 2 power. So we'll see. Edge of Night is 3 energy gear equipment with hidden. When you play this from face down, attach it to a unit you control here. It has an equip cost of purple and it gives +2. So this is just hidden +2 for whatever units there. +2 for 1 hide is like kind of okay. Forcing players to play around +2 whenever you're hiding something is pretty good. So I think it's okay. And if you're like using this and forcing them to use a card to like respond to the Edge of Night, then you're trading only 1-for-1 because the Edge of Night is recurrent. Like you can continue to use it for the rest of the game. So I think it's fine. I don't think it's like great. It is like pretty cheap because like just needing to pay the 1 power is kind of like mana cheating on this equipment. So I think I'm gonna put it as a C+. I think it's pretty decent. I don't think you're gonna want to run like too many copies of this because it does get like really expensive, especially after the unit dies. But I think the first like 1, maybe 2 copies of this card are gonna be like quite good. Next is Fizz Trickster. So it's 3 and a purple for a 3 might unit. When you play me, you may play a spell from your trash with energy cost no more than 3, ignoring its energy cost. Recycle that spell after you play it. I have no clue how to evaluate this card. You really need to have decent spells in your trash that you're happy to play immediately upon playing Fizz. So I think that might be something like you still need to pay its power cost, so there's not like that many spells that you're happy to hit, and I really like don't want to do the math and go through and see like what targets you're happy hitting here. So I'm just gonna stick this at C and just pray that that's approximately correct, because I don't see it being that good. It's like slightly below rate because you're paying a power cost for a 3 might unit, but there's gonna be like some amount of mana cheating that you're gonna be able to do to get like a decent spell out of your trash. I just don't think there's gonna be like too much that's gonna be that good, so I'm gonna put it at C. Aurelia Graceful. So it's 4 and a purple for a 4 might unit. Your spells that choose me cost 1 energy or 1 power less. It's like difficult to say how good this is. It has like a lot of like synergies requirements for this to actually be good. The problem is like it's spells that choose me and not like abilities as well that choose me. So this means like equipping still costs like the full cost for Aurelia. So it's only like one-off spells like combat tricks that are really gonna be good for this Aurelia. So like my guess is that she's like not gonna be that good. She's probably gonna be roughly the same strength as a vanilla 4 energy 4 might unit. I think she might be like slightly better because you will be able to build around her. The big problem is that she doesn't discount your equipment costs. She only discounts your spell costs. So you're usually like down cards. You're like kind of trading like value for tempo here on this card. So I think it's like fine, but I don't think it's like crazy. I'll give her like C plus because I'll give her a C plus. I think she's gonna be okay. But I think she's probably leaning closer to the C range, but there's a world in which she's like quite decent. J Medarda, so it's 5 and 2 purples for a 5 might unit. When you choose me with a spell, draw 1. I also have no clue how to evaluate this unit. Drawing's really strong. 2 purple recycle is like really bad. It's like really bad. But drawing is really good. The thing is you need to choose it with a spell, so he's very like cantripy. You're like spending spells in order to draw spells. So it's kind of like Dreaming Tree-esque, where you're never like up cards when you're playing this. You're just the same in terms of cards. So I don't think the effect is like crazy good. I think specifically you're playing like green purple, where you have a lot of cards that like want to choose him, is probably like decent, but I don't think he's gonna be super good. So I'm gonna put him at like a C minus, but like you can build around him and maybe get him to like C plus. Silver Mercenary is going to be 4 and a purple for a 4 might unit. She has Accelerate for 1 and a purple. If you've spent at least 2 power this turn, I have +2 might and ganking. So this means you can accelerate her out for 5 and 2 purple, and then she automatically gets the +2. So it's 5 and 2 purple for a 6 might unit. That's accelerated. So that's actually like quite good. 6 might is a big number. You're gonna be able to kill a good number of things. There's a lot of like other 6 might units, so you're like kind of maybe trading into a lot of things too. So it's like not super good. So it's hard to say. I think she's gonna be like a decent unit. I want to put it like somewhere in like the B- to C+ range. Being able to accelerate a 6-might unit is like extremely relevant, and having her be a champion means that she can, you know, be in the champion zone, which is nice. So I think I'll put her at like I'll put her at like a B-. Sure, she'll get a B-. I think she's close to C+, but we'll give her a B- for now. Spirit Wheel. When you choose a friendly unit, you may pay 1 and exhaust this to draw 1. It's okay. I think it's like a build around card. It makes it so that all your equips are able to draw cards for you, so it's like nice recurrent value. I think like the first copy of this is actually like pretty playable, because it draws for all your spells as well. And that first copy of this is like pretty playable. First copy of this might play at like a B- level, and then like additional copies are probably get a lot worse, but probably not like significantly worse. I think like the first copy plays at like a B- level. The second copy probably plays at like a C or like a C- level. So I think it's like pretty reasonable card. Just don't play like a ton of these, because it does like each one of these is like one less card in your deck that actually lets you choose things, you know. Switcheroo, 2 and 2 purple for a spell that has hidden and action speed. Swap the might of 2 units to the same battlefield this turn. This is like an extremely strong combat trick. This is like absolutely terrorizing constructed play. So I think like being able to play this card from hidden for just 1 power on this effect is like crazy good. So I think this is probably like a B. A B? Maybe like closer to B+. Is like almost guarantee like a really favorable combat. So it's like almost like a +1 on the combat trick, because like your units surviving, their units dying, whatever. So I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B. Quite good card. Vex Cheerless, 5 and a purple for a 5-might unit. When I'm in combat, friendly spells cost 1 and a power less to a minimum of 1, and enemy spells cost 1 and a power more. I think this card is like quite decent. The like making enemy spells cost 1 more is not super relevant, but it will come up occasionally. The more relevant thing is that like your spells cost less, so you can do things like well, I'm not entirely sure the way Call Shot works, because it says to a minimum of 1, so I'm not sure if you're playing Call Shot for 1 energy or 0 energy, but you would get the power reduction either way, so it would still be nice. So I'm gonna say that Vex is like probably a pretty decent card. She does need some support though. 5 and a power for 5 might is like not something that you really want to be playing. So I'm gonna put her at C and see where she goes from there. I think that's roughly right. The discounts, you're probably only discounting like 1 or 2 spells in a game, so it's hard to really get a ton of value out of Vex. Downwell is 8 and 2 purple. It returns all units and gear to their owner hand. I don't think this card is playable, unless your opponent has just a ton of tokens out or something like that. Like if you're against Azir, like tokens are super vulnerable to bounce. But I don't think this card is gonna be that good unless you're really behind and you just like absolutely need to do this. I'm gonna give it an F. Driven Audacious is 6 and a purple for a 6-might unit. It has deflects. The first time I win a combat each turn, you score 1 point. When I die in combat, choose an opponent, they score 1 point. So this card is like really difficult to rate, and it's not like as good as it reads. So the problem with it is like if you're at 6 points, and you run in and you win your combat, you gain the point from Draven's ability before you gain the point from the Conquering. So you don't win if you conquer at 6 points. Instead, you go to 7, you draw a card, which is fine. If your opponent is at 7 and they can run into the Draven and kill it, then they win the game without having to conquer the other battlefield, which really sucks for you. So it's hard to evaluate how good this card is. The extra points are relevant, and it has deflect, which is relevant. 6 might is decent size. Paying 6 and a power for that is like okay. I think I'm gonna put it at like a C. I'm pretty scared of like the die in combat thing. You can't protect Draven as well as you can in constructed play. Like Irelia is like really good at protecting Draven because of like Zhonya's and Guardian Angels, but like there's no way you can guarantee like Guardian Angel and those type of effects for Draven. So he is like really vulnerable to dying. So I'm gonna put him at C. He's like a really risky card to be running in your deck. Ezreal Prodigy is 3 and a purple for 3 might. When you play me, discard 1, then draw 2. Optional additional cost you pay cost 1 energy or 1 power less. The interesting thing about Ezreal Prodigy is you can play infinite numbers of Called Shot, and you're allowed to play Ezreal in your chosen champion zone, even if you're not playing Ezreal. I think this card is like an A. I think this card is an A because you're going to be in purple, you're going to have access to Called Shot, it's going to be 1 power to draw 2 cards. He also discards 1 to draw 2, so your hand is going to be really good all the time. He gets like infinite value, and he's just roughly on rate. 3 and a purple for a 3 might unit is like good enough, and you just get so much card selection, so much card draw. I think he's going to be good. I think A might be like a little bit on the high end because he doesn't win the game by himself, but he like enables your deck building to be so much more consistent because you can put any number of Called Shot, which is a common, by the way, and he can get put into your champion unit zone even if he's not your legend. Last Rites is 3 energy for a equipment with an equip cost of purple and also recycling 2 cards from your trash. When you conquer or hold, you may play a unit from your trash. You must still pay its cost and gives +2 might. I think it might actually be pretty decent as far as equipment is concerned. Recycling 2 from the trash isn't super relevant because you can just recycle 2 spells, and then you do get recurrent value from Last Rites. Whenever the unit dies, like that unit that has Last Rites attached to it dies, it means that you have another target for Last Rites to revive, you know? So I think this card is like actually pretty decent. You're like worried about building your deck specifically around this card because you're probably only going to have 1 copy of it, but I think it might play at like a B- level. I think it's actually quite good. Alright, on to yellow. So Bonds of Strength. So Bonds of Strength is a 2 energy spell with reaction and repeat for 2. Give 2 friendly units each +1 this turn. This doesn't have up to 2 friendly units +1 each this turn, which means that you have to have at least 2 units on the board to even cast this spell. It's below rate. It gives 2 energy for like +2 and 4 energy for +4, except it's spread awkwardly amongst units, so I don't think it's good. I think this combat trick is probably on the lower end of good. I think it's probably like D+. I think this card could see play, but I don't think it's very good. Eminent Benefactor is a 6 energy 5 might unit. When I hold, play 2 Guild Gear tokens exhausted. I don't think this card is good. It's below rate and it has a hold ability, which means that it's like in order to get value, you need to protect this below rate unit. I don't think it's good. I'm going to give this card a D+ and just move on. Eye of the Herald is a 1 energy equipment with a equip cost of yellow. When I move, play a 1 might recruit unit token here with a +0 might. So it basically gives your unit like the Noxian Drummer effect where it creates recruits. I don't think it's that good. I think if I'm playing Azir, I'm like fine playing this card in my deck. If I'm not playing Azir, I don't want to see this card. So I would give it a D. I think it's worse than most equipment. I'll give it a D. It might even be like a D-. I'll give it a D-. This card sucks. Guards! 3 energy for a spell that has hidden. Play a 2 might Sand Soldier unit token. You may pay yellow to ready it. I don't think this card is good. The hidden is like maybe relevant, but 2 might is like not a ton. Like it's like maybe a little bit comparable to Edge of Night, but you really need to be like specifically Azir to make this work. So the vision with the spell is like you hide it at a battlefield or you hold 2 mana up, and then you like play the Sand Soldier, and then he like sucks an equipment onto him because your Sand Soldiers are gonna have Weapon Master on it. So instead of a 2 might unit, it's like realistically more like a 3 or 4 might unit, which is like much better. The problem is like you need to have units. You need to have your opponent needs to be attacking into you with like a reasonable unit that you would want to reveal this on. You need to have equipment in base. You need to be playing Azir, and then you're paying 3 mana for a 2 might unit. So I think it's like not that good. I'm gonna give it like a D+. I think it's maybe playable, but I wouldn't really be that happy playing it. Honest Broker is 2 energy for a 2 might unit as Death Knell. Create a gold gear token exhausted. It's nice. It's guaranteed. This feels a lot like Lonely Poro. I was giving Lonely Poro a C+, and I think I'm gonna give Honest Broker a C+ as well. Drawing a card is better than creating a gold gear token, but Lonely Poro has the restriction of requiring it to be alone, which makes it so that you will be giving up some number of points to try and get value from Lonely Poro at some point. Honest Broker, you can just shove him onto a battlefield and just sit him there, and you can play units on top, and if your Honest Broker ever dies, you get the value. So I think it's about as good as Lonely Poro. I think he's slightly worse, but I don't think he falls down to a C. I think he stays at C+. Laurent Duelist is a 4 energy 3 might unit with Assault 2. So it's like it like attacks as a 5, which is fine. It holds as a 3, which is horrible. For 4 energy, I'm gonna give this a D+. I would not want to be playing this card. Royal Guard is 4 energy for a 2 might unit. When you play me, play a 2 might Sand Soldier unit token here. I think this card is actually quite decent. It like plays a lot like Faithful Manufactor. Faithful Manufactor was like 3 energy for a 2 might unit that plays a 1 might recruit. This is 4 energy for a 2 might unit that creates a 2 might recruit, 2 might Sand Soldier, and it also has synergies with Azir if he has equipment on board. Like the low case scenario on this is like a 4 energy 4 might spread across 2 bodies, which I think is like good enough. I think it's good enough. I would give this a C. That's what I've been giving vanilla 4 mana, 4 energy 4 might units, and I think it's roughly the same goodness of that. 2 bodies is relevant, Sand Soldier is relevant, but I don't think it's enough to carry it over C+, because having it spread amongst 2 bodies is also like has downsides as well, you know. So I think it sticks as a C. I'm happy to put Royal Guard as a C. Sandshifter is 5 and 2 yellows for a 6 might unit. When you play me, kill an enemy unit with 3 might or less. This is relevant because the unit doesn't have to be on a battlefield, which is cool. You are like above right because you're paying 5 energy for a 6 might unit, but the problem is like you're paying 2 power. There's like a decent number of ways to generate gold, so if you're paying this with like 1 or 2 gold tokens, you're actually pretty happy, and you're almost always gonna have units, almost always gonna have targets, because of how like unit focused limited is. So I think this card is like actually pretty decent. I don't know if it hits like the B range because of how expensive it is, but I think I'm happy putting it C+, but like I think there's like a world in which it's actually B-. Killing units is really nice, and being above rate is really nice. Nah, we'll put a B-. It's a B- card. We'll say B-. Trusty Ramhound, 2 energy, 2 might unit. While you have another unit here, I have +1. I think it's mostly vanilla. I think it's barely better than vanilla 2 energy, 2 might. We'll say it's like a C-. We'll say it's a C. We'll say it's a C. There's technically upside. The upside is just not very high. It's a C-. No, it's a C. It's a C-. Zonpunk, 3 energy, 3 might unit. You may kill a friendly gear as an additional cost to pay me. When you play me, if you pay an additional cost to kill a gear, this is like barely upside. It's like kind of okay. You are like hitting. You are generating some amount of gold, and if you like sack your gold to kill like an actual equipment from your opponent's side, that is like pretty good. And worst case, he's just a 3 energy 3 might unit, which I normally put at like a C-. So he's like a C- with like actual relevant upside, because there are going to be some number of equipments flying around, and worst case you just snipe a gold, which is not that bad. So I'll just put him at C+. I think he's okay. I think C+ is fine for Zonpunk. BF Sword, 4 energy for an equipment that has an equip cost of yellow, and it gives +3 might. +3 is like quite a lot. +3 is quite a lot. I actually think BF Sword is quite good. It's definitely on the better side of equipment. The first copy you're running of this is like you're really happy actually, and then like the second copy starts to get like a little bit worse. I think I want to rate this as like a C+. C+. I don't know if that's like quite in line with the rest of the way that my evaluations have been, because I gave like a 3 energy equipment plus that gave +2, like a C minus or like a D plus. Is +3? Yeah, I think +3 is like actually that much more relevant than +2. So I'll say it's a C plus. I'll say it's a C plus. Blood Money, 2 energy for spell at action speed. Kill a unit at a battlefield with 2 might or less. If it was an enemy unit, play gold gear token exhausted. If it was a friendly unit, play 2 gold gear tokens exhausted. I think this card is gonna be quite good. The limitation on what units you can hit is like actually pretty rough. And you're not going to have like great ways of like reducing might so that Blood Money is going to be able to hit targets consistently. But I think the upside's there, and early game action speed removal is quite good. I'm going to put it at like a C+, but I could see it going down to C. It's really dependent on like how many targets you end up having, but there's like a ton of 2 might units in the set. A ton of 2 might units. So I think you're going to have enough targets for this card to be good. So I'll put it as a C+. Death Grip is 2 energy for a spell at reaction speed. Kill a friendly unit to give plus might equal to its might to another friendly unit this turn. Draw 1. The draw 1 makes this card like actually kind of playable. The problem is like you're still really vulnerable to interaction. So like reaction speed, you're gonna like kill a friendly unit, right? And then like you're gonna target your other unit for to give the plus might. If your opponent has some way to like kill it, you're like really sad. Or like if they have a way to like make the combat like neutral, like if they're trading for it, like you're still pretty sad because you had to sack a unit for it. So I think it's probably in like the D plus range, because you're also not allowed to just like cantrip it to draw 1. You like have to kill something, so you can't even just like spend 2 to draw. You need to have a unit to sacrifice in order to draw. So I think it's like a D plus. Drag Under is 5 and a yellow for a spell at action speed. I cost 2 less to play from anywhere other than your hands. Kill a unit at a battlefield. I think this card is actually quite decent. Rek'Sai obviously gets to use this spell a lot better than, you know, like a typical, like a vanilla legend. But this card is still like quite good at action speed to just kill anything. There's gonna be some number of units that are just big that you will want to kill. So I think I'm gonna put this card at B. Just B. And be happy with it. Yep. Glass Mixologist is 5 and a yellow for 5 might unit. As Death Knell, you may play a unit with cost no more than 3 and no more than power from your trash, ignoring its cost. There are like a ton of good targets for this. I'd have to go back and see what targets you even have for this. But like you could like funnily hit like Ezreal Prodigy with this, which is like really funny, or like Fizz. I think there's enough units for this card to be playable. On the Death Knell, it's relevant because like you can't deal with the unit and this at the same time. You need to deal with like a Glass Mixologist and then the unit afterwards. So it's like kind of okay. I think I'm gonna put it at like a C+. I think there's gonna be enough relevant units to hit, but it is like kind of expensive. And you do need to have something in your trash to be able to hit to make it like usable. So C+. I could see it going into the B- range. It really depends on its targets, but I'm gonna say C+ just to be safe. Rally the Troops, 2 energy for a spell at action speed. When a friendly unit is played this turn, buff it. Draw 1. The draw 1 really makes me want to think this card is playable. If you're getting like 1 buff off of it, it's like kind of okay. The problem is like you're not playing that many units a turn. Like if you don't have Vanguard Armory in play, this card is actually like kind of bad. So I'm gonna say this is like a D. This is like a D. I'd rather have another card than Rally the Troops. Unsung Hero, 2 energy for a 2 might unit that has Death Knell. If I was mighty, draw 2. I think this is like a build round card. Like if you have like a lot of equipment like BF Sword, or like a lot of combat tricks, like if you're running green to give this thing like +4 from that spell, like drawing 2 is like actually really good. So I think like at a base rate, this card's probably like a C-, if you like don't have ways to buff it. But if you just have like a few ways, like maybe 4 or 5 ways in your deck to buff this, this card goes to like a B, or like a B- or something like that. I'd give it like a B- if you have like decent ways to support it. Vanguard Armory, the start of the show. So 7 in the yellow for a gear that has tap, play 3 recruit unit tokens. And this card is actually quite good. This is kind of like a win condition by itself. You just need to stall out the game long enough for this to get like recurrent value. I think I'm gonna put this as at like a B. It's like a little bit on the slow side. You really need to tap this about 3 times in order to actually like make it worth it, which is a lot. Three entire turns after reaching 7 mana is like quite significant, especially if they're running in with a lot of like big boys. So I don't want to put it into like the A range because it's vulnerable because of that. So we'll say B. Altar of Memories. 2 energy gear. When a friendly unit dies, you may exhaust me to draw 1, then put a card from your hand on top or bottom of your main deck. I don't think this card is playable. It like technically has some synergies with Rek'Sai, but I wouldn't count on it. It doesn't give you card advantage. It just gives you card filtration, so it's not enough for not enough value to be able to actually play. Rek'Sai Swarm Queen, so 5 and a yellow for a 5 might unit. When I attack, you may reveal the top 2 cards of your main deck. You may play 1, then recycle the rest. If the played card is a unit, you may play it here. I think this card is actually pretty reasonable. She gets like mini Rengar where she can like look through and play cards attacking with her. She's like a little bit vulnerable because she's only 5 might, so like you're attacking into units. And like you can't get the trigger if you're attacking into an open battlefield because I don't think you get the attacker designation there. So it's only when you're attacking into other units. So there's like a decent chance that like the unit you play dies to whatever's on the field, and if the something that's on the field is like big, then Rek'Sai, the Rek'Sai itself would die and your unit might live. But that's like a little bit suspect because that would rely like. If you're at attacking into a 6, you're like relying on hitting a unit to be able to actually be over it. So it's like, I don't know, it's a little bit suspect. I think she probably is good, and like being able to get the value out of her is like quite nice. There's just like the question of whether or not the units that are coming out are worth anything. You don't want it to be like a Noxian Drummer trigger where she's like attacking into like a 2 might unit. The 2 might unit just like kills the recruit that spawns out of it for fun. When in reality, if you just attacked with a 3 might unit, nothing would happen. It would just die, right? So I think it's difficult to like retain value out of Rek'Sai, but it might be nice to be able to just play additional bodies. Like if you're Rek'Sai and you're attacking into like a 2 might unit and you're able to attack and bring out another like 5 might unit, like that's like super good, right? So she's like essentially card draw. Her card draw is like kind of weird. You don't have to play a unit, you can play like a spell or something. So I think she is good enough. I would probably put her at like a B. We'll put her at a B for now. The card advantage seems pretty nice, and she's more or less on rate, so it's alright. Renata Glask is 4 energy, 4 might units, or 4 energy and a power for 4 might unit. Your tokens enter ready. I don't think she's good enough. I would put her at like a C- or a D+. I don't think the tokens entering ready are relevant. The only real relevant source of these are like Vanguard Armory. You create 3 like recruit tokens. I think the main idea with this Renata is your like gold tokens are entering ready, so you can use them the turn they come out. But I don't think that's relevant in limited, so I'm gonna put her at a D+, just as like since she's a 4 energy 4 might unit, but she has a power on it, so not as good. Sacred Shears. So this card is like really hard to evaluate. 2 and a yellow for an equipment that has yellow for an equip cost. It gives it +1 might and also gives it death knell draw 1. This is like a really interesting card. When I was playing it, testing it in like constructed play, it was like really bad. It was like way too expensive. Just the power costs on play and the power cost on attach basically means you're spending 2 energy and 2 power to draw 1, and you also need your unit to die in order to get that value. So the question is like, how many times do you need to attach this for this actually to feel all right? If you're attaching it 2 times, you're paying 2 and 3 power to draw 2 and lose 2 bodies. So if we're comparing this to Premonition, Premonition is 2 energy and 3 power to draw 3. How many times do you need to attach this for this to actually be relevant? Like 3 times? Like you're spending 2 energy and 4 power to draw 3 cards, and you get 1 might on all the units that you attach it to, so like maybe they got a little bit more value. I think this is maybe only playable in like Azir, because you'll be able to play the Shears, and then like your Sand Soldiers are able to suck them up and become 3 might units, which is like fine. I think it's unplayable outside of Azir just because of how expensive it is. I don't think it's playable. So I think outside of Azir it's like a D, and if you're playing Azir it's probably like a C. Yeah. Soraka Wanderer, 4 energy, 1 power for a 4 might unit. I must be assigned combat damage last. If another unit you control here would die, if it has less might than me, instead heal it, exhaust it, and recall it. I have like no real idea on how to evaluate this card. I think it's like a little bit of a bait. I think it's really tempting to over-invest or over-commit to battlefields when you shouldn't, because the assumption is that Soraka is going to live and that you're going to be able to save all the units. The problem is that if they attack in with like too much stuff, then Soraka dies, or if they just remove Soraka and then attack into it, you lose all your units. She like technically has like, if she's in like your base, and then like units in your base are getting sniped off, like pretend your Victor leader is getting sniped off by Singularity, then she would be able to save stuff, but there's like not a ton of base removal, and Soraka dies to a lot of the base removal. Like if we're looking at that blue spell that deals 4 to a unit at a base, like it's gonna kill Soraka and then it's gonna kill something else, so she's not even gonna get the value out of it. So it's like a little bit hard to justify running Soraka, so I think she's probably like in the D+ range. There's like a world where you get value out of her, but it's like difficult to get the full value out of her. So D plus C minus. We'll put her at C minus. I'm gonna be a nice guy. Put her at C minus and pray that she's not actually that bad. But I would not run too many copies of her. I don't think she's gonna be that good. Trove Golem is 8 energy and 2 gold for a 9 might unit. When you play me, play 4 gold gear tokens exhausted. You really need to have a good reason to have 4 gold gear tokens, or 4 golds. If you're playing this as like a 8 energy 9 might unit, like I don't know if it's good enough. It's like really slow. It doesn't have any way to accelerate itself. And it's also deramping you pretty significantly. At that like late into the game, it probably doesn't matter that it's deramping you that hard, but it also doesn't matter that you're generating 4 gold tokens. So I don't know if it's good enough. 9 is like pretty significant. It's hard to beat over 9. But I'm like just worried because it's like a little bit on the slow end. So I think I'll start it off at like a C minus. You can probably put it into your deck if you really need a top end. And if you have good ways to spend the gold, like if you're playing Renata and you like really have good ways to spend the gold, then I think it's fine. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend you play this card. I would play like 1 at most. This card is like really difficult to get onto the board. Under Titan is 6 and a yellow for a 5 might unit. When you play me, give your other units +2 this turn. As I'm revealed from your deck, add 2. The revealing from the deck is only good in Rek'Sai, but like +2 is like, or like +2 energy is a lot. You can like cheat in a lot of stuff. Like if you reveal a 2-drop and you reveal Under Titan, you get to cast a 2-drop for absolutely free, which is like really nice. The as you play me, give your other units +2 is like difficult to figure out if that's any good or not. There's like not great ways to go super wide without using Vanguard Army exactly for that to be relevant. Like you probably need to have like 3 other units on the battlefield for this to feel good. This doesn't have a way to accelerate itself like Watcher, so the +2 is like not as good as Watcher's -3. So I think this card is probably fine. In Rek'Sai, I would probably put it as like a C+. I think outside of Rek'Sai, it's probably like a D+. Oof. In Rek'Sai, it's probably like a C. Outside of Rek'Sai, it's probably like a D+. I wouldn't actually recommend playing this card, like the more I think about it, right? Because like with Rek'Sai, you're not really going that wide with Rek'Sai, and you are worried about just drawing Under Titan. Like if you reveal Under Titan, you're like happy as hell, but if you reveal Under Titan, if you reveal Under Titan, you're really happy. If you draw Under Titan, you're really sad. So there's like a lot of like polarity in like how strong this card actually is. So it's difficult to say that it's good. So Rek'Sai will say it's a 5. Sorry, Rek'Sai will say it's a C. Outside of Rek'Sai, we'll say it's like a D+. Sinja Vigilance, 3 and a yellow for 4 might unit. It has tank, I enter ready if you have two or more other units in your base. And this card's quite good. It's above rate, it's 3 energy and 1 power for a 4 might unit, and entering ready is really, really good. A lot of times you're going to have difficulty getting more units into your base without being Victor, but there's a world in which it's possible, right? Like, there's a world. You probably can't play it on turn 2. It's probably like a turn 3, but like 4 might is a pretty significant amount. You're going to be able to eat over a decent number of units using this. And if you're able to eat over 1 unit, score an extra point, it feels kind of like a sprite. Pretty good. Pretty good. I would probably put it at like a C+. It's difficult to get like a ton of value out of him because 4 isn't like that big. So I'll say C+. I think it's like a pretty reasonable card. Azir Sovereign, 4 energy for 4 might unit as Accelerate. When I attack, you may move any number of your token units to this battlefield. It's like very comparable to Kaisa of last set, except like infinitely worse. Drawing a card is so much worse than like moving token units in. Moving token units are only valuable if your tokens are actually either good or you like need them for the attack. Like if you're attacking into a 6 might unit and you have a bunch of recruits, you can like attack them with them. The recruits need to be tapped for you to realistically get any amount of value out of this. If you're attacking into like smaller things, bringing in recruits just lets them die. I don't think it's like that relevant. The 4 mana 4 might unit that has Accelerate by itself is like kind of fine. So if I was putting it at a C, like this is probably a C+. I think the line that says when you're moving your like you can move your tokens around, I think that's just like a line that doesn't exist. You just view it as like a 4 energy 4 might unit that has Accelerate. Good enough. I think it's a C+. Blade of the Rune King, 3 and a yellow for an equipment that has equip cost of yellow and kill a friendly unit, and then it gives the units +4. This card is not playable. Killing your friendly units is too much of a cost. I wouldn't play this card. I'd give this like an F. Creative Raza, 7 and a yellow for a 6 might unit. It has Accelerate for 1 in the yellow. When I move to a battlefield, play 3 1 might recruit units tokens here. I think this card is probably like fine. It's really comparable to Thousand Tail Watcher, except like infinitely worse than Thousand Tail Watcher. You don't have like Trifarian War Camp to even like get that much value out of the extra recruits that pop out. So what ends up happening is like she's a 6 might unit that accelerates in, and then she summons 3 recruits that instantly die. If you have ways to like retain those those recruits, it's like all right. She is kind of like a 9 might unit, but realistically she's a 6 might unit. If she attacks into any battlefield and those recruits die, she's holding the 6. If she's attacking into a 6 might unit, she still dies and your 3 recruits stay, and then the 3 recruits are super vulnerable. She just like scores like a 9 might unit, but she doesn't attack or hold as a 9 might unit. So it's like it's kind of okay. I think she's probably like in the B- tier. I think she's a good enough card to put in. Like Accelerate is really relevant, and attacking as a 9 is like relevant enough to close out games. She's just not like gonna win you games on the spot. She's just like a play that you're pretty happy to make, but it's like you're not like, oh boy, I'm gonna win the game with the Crane of Veraza. It's like a, oh boy, I get stabilized for another turn or win the game. But like the winning the game is like under very, very specific circumstances that you're gonna be winning the game. It'd be like they have an open battlefield and like one battlefield that has like a couple things on it, and then you have one unit base, so you get to like run into the open battlefield to score, and then you run Kriza to go into the other one to double conquer to win the game. So she's like okay, B-. Fiora Worthy, 3 energy for a 3 might unit. When a unit you control becomes mighty, you may pay yellow to ready it. It's like really, really difficult to evaluate this unit. I think it's probably not good enough unless you have like the Fiora champion, because the yellow is like a pretty significant cost. Readying is really, really good though. The problem is you're spending so many runes in order to do this. Usually the way that you're making your units become mighty is you're attaching equipment to it. When you're attaching equipment to it, that costs power, and then you're going to pay more power to ready it. Spending a lot of power. You're not really getting the refunds that the Fjord Legend allows you to do. So I think it's probably not that great. I think I'll put her at C. I'll put her at C. She has upside. It's just the upside's really expensive. So later in the game, she's a little bit better than in the beginning of the game. And we're off to the Legends. Oh my god, that took so long. Okay, so really quickly, I'm just going to talk about whether these legends are worth playing or not. I'm not going to go too much into the color combination. I'm going to say whether or not the leader legend is worth more than just drawing one additional card. The recommendation is to always play Chosen Champion, not always play Legends. Some of these legends are not worth it. Rumble Legends, I probably wouldn't play unless you have like a ton of mechs. If you like a ton of mechs, I would probably play Rumble. But if you just have like a couple mechs, I wouldn't play Rumble. I would just take the extra card. Danger Zone, it's kind of like the same thing. Like if you have mechs, like this is pretty reasonable. If you don't have mechs, it's like not that good. The problem is like if you compare this to Siphon Power, it's like very similar to Siphon Power. And Siphon Power is like not a playable card, so I'm actually not even sure if this is that good. Because Siphon Power was 2 and a power. This is 2 and 2 power. Siphon Power is like all their units get -1, all units get +1, so it's like a 2 might swing. This is like all your mechs get +2, so it's also 2 might swing, but it doesn't affect your non-mechs, so it's like not that good. So it's like probably not. I maybe would play 1 just like for the fun of it because it's cool as an epic card, but I don't think it's that good. Rating. C-, C-, D+, D+ for Danger Zone. Purifier. Your equipment each give assaults. I probably wouldn't play this. Assault is like not enough in the upside. I'd rather just take the card. You're not running that many equipments in your deck. If you're getting like, you might get like 4 triggers of this in the game. I don't think the +1 is enough to justify it. So I'm gonna say, don't play this. Take the draw. Relentless Pursuit. Move a friendly unit. You may attach an equipment with the same controller to it. This turn that unit has when I conquer, you may move me to my base. I think this card is good. I think I would play it. It's very, it's like Ride the Wind, except you get to ride over to the other battlefield and then also save the unit and make it go home. So it's like a better Ride the Wind. I think this card is probably like a B+. B+. I would definitely play this card. I would play multiple copies of this card if I have it. Your opponent's not really going to be able to play around it because it's a signature spell. Like how do you play around that? Like you can't expect them to have it. You can be in like I guess they technically need to be in red and orange, but like you can't expect a signature spell. So this is like a 2 to 3 point swing, which is like pretty crazy. So this is like a B+, A- range card. Very good. Draven Legends, when you win a combat, draw 1. Always play this card. If you, like, legitimately, if you open this legend, play this legend. It gives you infinite value on things that you're going to be wanting to do anyways. Play this legend. If you can afford to run red-purple, this legend is worth playing red-purple for, even if your red-purple cards aren't actually that good. As long as they're, like, middle of the pack good enough, I would play this card. Spinning Axe, I would also play this card. It's 2 energy, 1 power for quick draw to give +3. You can use it on the offense to give +3, and then if your unit dies, you can still equip it to save Spinning Axe. The only worry is like if you use Spinning Axe on the defense and then they still kill the unit anyways, the Spinning Axe does die, but you just view it as like a bad like discipline-esque kind of thing. Like you spent 2 energy and 1 power to give something +3 and then the equipment dies. It's like fine. Note that like the temporary keyword on this equipment doesn't exist if it's attached to a unit. It only exists if this Spinning Axe is detached from a unit. So as long as a unit you have controls Spinning Axe, you're not going to have to sacrifice it at the beginning of your beginning phase. So Spinning Axe, I'd probably put it at like a B-. Pretty solid card. Void Burrow, when you conquer, you may exhaust me to reveal the top 2 cards of your main deck. You may play 1, then recycle the rest. I would play this card. It's basically like Draven, but like a little bit worse. It's more restricted. You don't actually get the card. You just like get some card selection, and then you can play it if you have enough resources to. Draven just gets the card for free. The only difference is Void Burrow, it's like on Conquer. Draven is like when you win a combat. So Conquer means that you can conquer an open battlefield to do this. So Void Burrower is like lower ceiling than Draven is, but it has like a slightly higher floor than Draven is. I would play Rek'Sai if I'm in red-yellow. Void Rush, 2 and a powers to reveal the top 2 cards of your main deck. You may play one of them, reducing its cost by 2. Draw any you did not play this way. I would definitely play this card. There's probably like an A- or like a B+. I would probably put it as a B+. It doesn't win you the game. But you get to draw 2. and then it's like a 2 mana and a power to draw 2, which is already above rate. And then you can play one of them by reducing its cost by 2, which is basically like a called shot. You get to pay 0 and a power to be able to draw 2, essentially. So it's really good. I would definitely play as many copies of this as you can. Or in Legends. So Fire Below the Mountain, it has tap to reaction to add a power used only to play gear or use gear abilities. I don't think I would play this. I think I would rather just take the draw on your first turn over this Legends. Cheating out gear is like fine, but you're not gonna be playing that many gears in your deck. Activating gear abilities is nice to be able to like equip equipments onto your units for like free. But the equipment that you're going to be wanting to run are like good equipment. You don't want to be running like the crappy equipment. So being able to cheat out these gears and attaching it out earlier is like not super relevant. So I think I would rather just take the draw on this, but it's up to you. I think it's about equal either way. Forged Fire Cape, 4 and 2 power. It's a unique, so you can, okay, so technically your deck can only have one with this name, but I'm pretty sure you can play any number. But that I would, you should clear up with your tournament organizer if you happen to open like multiple Forged Fire Capes. It's an equipment that has the equip cost of 1 power. When I attack or defend, deal 2 damage to all enemy units here, and it gets +3 might. I would definitely play this card. This is probably in like the B+ range, maybe like A-. Deal 2 is like a lot to all units, attack or defend. It basically gives it +5 instead of +3, and it's reusable because you can just equip it to the next thing. And +3 is like quite a lot. I gave BF Sword B- for +3, and this is +3 with upside. It does have 2 more power cost than BF Sword does, but that's fine. I think the attack or defend trigger is good enough. So I would probably put this at like a B+ level. Rabadon's Death Crown, 4 and 2 power. Has the equip cost of 1. It gives +3 might, and your spells and abilities deal +3 bonus damage while this is attached. I don't think it's like quite as good as Forged Fire Cape. I think this is like a C+ or like a C. If you have like other spells and abilities that can take advantage of this, it's good. Like if you have Bellows Breath or something, that's good. But you're opening like an epic card and a rare card that like yeah. I think it's like a C. If you have proper support, it goes higher, but I'll keep it at C for now. Shirelia's Requiem, 4 and 2 power, has equip cost of 1 power. Your units here have ganking, and it gives +2. This is also definitely worse than the Sunfire. +2 is like not that good. Only your units here have ganking, so that means, I guess it like doesn't really matter that much because you're gonna be ganking from one battlefield to another anyways, and then units from base are gonna be able to move there anyways. So it basically gives all your units ganking. It just needs to equip onto a unit that's at the battlefield that you want to gank from. +2 is like not a lot. +2 is not a lot. I probably think this is about the same as Death Crown, maybe a little bit worse. I think I would actually put it at like a D+. I'm not super happy with this equipment. I don't think I would play it even if I was in the colors. It's just too expensive and it doesn't give you enough. Grandmaster Arms, so it is 1 and a tap to attach a detached equipment you control to a unit you control, or it's tap to attach the equipment you control to a unit control. So you get to cheat out the equip costs on these. So it's like very similar to Ornn, except you get to move stuff around a little bit easier. Ornn doesn't allow you to detach equipment. It only allows you to attach equipment, but it allows you to cheat out equipment a little bit faster. Or I guess it lets you play equipment a little bit cheaper. Is it enough, or would I rather just take the draw? I think I would rather take the draw on this, because you just get to move stuff around. I'd rather just draw more stuff. But this one's also like Ornn, where it's like it's up to you if you want the extra draw or not. But I think I would rather take the draw than play this legend. Counter Strike, it's 2 and a power for a reaction spell. Choose a unit. Next time that unit would be dealt damage to turn, prevent it. Draw 1. I would definitely play this. I think it's probably like a B level card. The draw 1 makes it really good. Next time that unit would be dealt damage means that like this includes like combat damage. I'm not like 100% how it would work. Like if you're attacking with like 3 recruits and into like a 2 might unit, would it just like stop the one from the one recruit and then still take 2 damage, or would it like stop all 3 damage? I actually have no clue. I would need to look that up. But either way, I think it's a B. It like essentially stuns like a big unit, which is nice. Like if they push a big unit in, you counter strike, you prevent that damage, the other guy gets recalled, and you get to draw 1. Very, very nice. So I'm gonna put this as a B. I think it's a great card. Blade Dancer, when you choose a friendly unit, you may exhaust me and pay a power to ready it. When you conquer, you may pay 1 to ready me. I think this card is like maybe playable. The ability to like accelerate units out by like targeting it with equipment is really, really nice. It's just super, super power hungry. It would be dependent from me how many like good equipments I have and like good other ways to target, whether it be spells or like Heart of Dark Ice, like equipment that can target and stuff, to determine whether or not I would want to play this legend. This is like on the same level of like Jax and Orin, where I think it's like kind of up in the air if you want to take the draw or take this. This one's a little bit more deck dependent than the other two. I think the other two you probably just want to take the draw. This one is like if you don't have support, you just take the draw, and if you do have the support, you can run this legend. Defiant Dance is 1 and a power reaction for a spell, giving you a +2 this turn and another unit -2 this turn. Great card. It's just a 1 mana like 4 might differential. Super, super good. B+? B+? It's so cheap. It is so cheap and it wins you a combat. So B+. Azir, so your Sand Soldiers have Weapon Master, 1 tap, play a 2 might Sand Soldier unit token to your base, use only if you play an equipment this turn. I'm like not 100% sure how I feel about this card. It like rewards you for playing a lot of like crappy gear in your deck, but like all your crappy gear generates a 2 might unit that cheats the equip onto it anyways. So I think it's like probably playable. I think I would just build around this card, play a bunch of crappy equipments, and just run with it. Being able to generate recruits is really nice, or generate soldiers, and these soldiers are gonna be like pretty sizable. Like they're gonna be like 3 might, 4 might. That's good enough, and they're gonna have some kind of effects with the equipment, and like you're not spending as much power to like leverage your equips, so you're able to get to the later game a little bit easier. And then your soldiers are going to be able to, or like your other units are going to be able to equip these tons of equipment that you have, because you are able to reach the late game without expending as many runes for equip costs. So I would probably play this card. Arise, so 6 and an energy, so play a 2 energy Sand Soldier unit token for each equipment you control, then ready 2 of them. I think I would play this if I'm playing exactly Azir and playing a very, very equipment focused deck. I think you can get away with it. If you're creating 3 tokens, you're happy. If you're playing 4 tokens, you're really, really happy. Like anything above 3, you're really, really happy. The like disaster case is if you have like 1 or 2 gear equipment at all. Also, it is important to note that this does specify equipment and not gear. So like you're not creating this friendly like gold tokens you control. It's only like specifically equipment you control. Readying 2 is like a nice little benefit. If you want to double conquer, it will let you if the battlefields are open. Ezreal, Prodigal Explorer, it has tap reaction draw 1. Use only if you've chosen enemy units or gear twice this turn with spells or unit abilities. I think I would play this legend if I have really, really good ways to enable this and ways that I want to enable using this. So if it's something like I have, like you need to have those like those repeat spells that target units and like actually get value out of them. You don't want to use them as like essentially cantrips, like 4 mana cantrip in order to draw 1 card. Otherwise, like if you just like don't play this and draw 1, like that's fine. Like you need to activate this multiple times and like meet some condition to actually get the draws off of this. So you would need like a pretty decent amount of support in order for Ezreal to actually work. So this is like on the same level of Irelia. It's dependent on how much support your deck has. I would like consider not running this in order to get the extra draw. Arcane Shift is 3 and a power for an action spell. Banish friendly unit. This then its owner plays it, ignoring its cost. Deal 3 to an enemy unit at a battlefield. Banishes. It's probably fine. Action speed makes this a lot worse than the reaction speed, so this is very much similar to Portal Rescue from Origins, and Portal Rescue is not a card that was playable, because action speed makes it way worse. If it was reaction, this card would be giga broken. Instead, this card is just good enough. The deal 3 is really what I think makes this card playable. If you have any unit that like enters the battlefield and does something, then you get even more value out of this. And you can bait units in to attack into you, save your unit, and then deal 3 damage to it. And then if the unit dies, they wouldn't get the conquer point out of it because you killed them before the combat showdown ends. So I think this is probably like a B- card. I think it's pretty good. I would probably play it, but just know it's not as good as it looks because it doesn't save you from kill spells. Cambarinus. So Renata, when you or an ally hold, you may exhaust me to play gold gear token exhausted. While your score is within 3 points of the victory score, your gold add an additional 1. I would never play this. I think blue-yellow is a fantastic color combination. I would just take the extra draw and not play this legend. I don't think it's good enough. Generating, like, holding is not something you can count on. Gold is not a good enough payoff. Your gold adding 1 when, like, an additional 1 when you sack them is not good enough. It's like very much a combo-y thing. Your combos in limited are not good enough to justify playing this. Do not play this legend. If you're playing blue-yellow, which I think is a great color combination, if you get the pre-rift kit that contains Renata's stuff, I think Renata's stuff is very good. Just don't play the legend and just play the deck without the legend. Take the extra draw and just be happy with it. Hostile Takeover, 5 and 2 power for a spell that also has hidden. Take control of an enemy unit at a battlefield, ready it. Start a combat if other units are there, otherwise conquer. Lose control of that unit and recall it at the end of turn. This card is like really difficult to evaluate. If they have just one unit at a battlefield, you can like yoink it and then score it for free, score the battlefield for free, which is like quite nice. You can, if you're holding onto a battlefield, you can hide the card there, and then if they attack into you, you get to basically hold that battlefield for free for the rest of the turn, which is like pretty nice. Other than that, it's like difficult to utilize this card well, so I think I would probably play the copy of this because it's like flexible. This is really expensive, and it doesn't like guarantee you value. It basically guarantees you 1 point, which is like pretty decent. It's like good enough. So I would probably play it. I'd probably play it at like a B- level. B-. Battle Mistress is Sivir Legends. When you recycle a rune, you may exhaust me to play gold gear token exhausted. When one or more enemy units die, ready me. I think this card probably is playable. You just need to have like, you just need to leverage power costs to make like the average quality of your deck a little bit higher. Just being able to like not like prevent yourself from deramping like 2 or 3 times in a game is like pretty decent. It is delayed, so the first time you deramp yourself, you do actually deramp yourself. It's just like the second time you attempt to deramp yourself, you're not deramping yourself. So it's like good enough. I think I would probably play it. I think it's slightly better than the draw at the start of the game. On the hunt, 1 and 2 power to ready your units. I don't know if this card's good enough. I think I would play 1 copy of this. I don't think I would ever play more than 1 copy of this. I think the first copy you play of this is you play at like a B- level. It can give everything you own pseudo ganking, and it also gives everything you control accelerate. So I think it's probably good enough to run as a 1 of at like a B- level, but just be aware that like I don't think this card is like super good. There's gonna be times where this is in your hand is completely worthless. So I'd be really careful with this card. It would depend on what cards you have in your deck. I would need to have big units that care about readying when you're playing them. Grand Duelist is the Fury Legend. When one of your units become mighty, you may exhaust me to channel 1 rune exhausted. I think this is like in a similar boat to Azir, where if you're like supporting it properly, it can be good enough. It is like Azir is like you're able to cheat your equipment on to your units in the early game without having to pay the power costs. Fiora is like it refunds the power costs. I think I would need to have like good equipment and multiple copies of Unsung Hero in order for me to like want to play this card, because the word of like becomes mighty is like somewhat difficult to do in a limited scenario when you don't want to be running too many units, or sorry, when you don't want to be running too many equips, because Azir generates bodies to equip onto. Fiora does not do that. So you have to be way more mindful of how many equipments you're putting into your list if you're playing Fiora. So just be careful with that. I think I would take the draw, but if your card pool supports Fiora really well, you can play Fiora. Riposte is 2 and 2 power for a reaction. You choose a friendly unit and a spell. So like if someone casts a spell before that spell resolves, it is like a spell, so you can select it. Counter the spell and give that unit plus might equal to that spell's energy cost this turn. I would definitely play this card. This is probably like a B to a B plus level card. The plus might is really relevant. They're going to play spells at some point, and then you're going to be able to riposte it to counter it, which is always nice. It like does kind of suck into like repeat spells, because you're only getting like plus might equal to the like spell's printed cost. So if they're doing the like missile barrage that does 4, like costs 4 and a blue, and they're repeating it, so it's like 8 and 2 blue, you're not getting plus 8, you're getting plus 4. The thing is, you know, you're still countering the spell that would have, you know, done a shit ton of damage. So I think it's fine. I would probably play it like a B level. I think it's good. And then we're on to the battlefields. So battlefields, I'm gonna say like, I guess like if it's better than a blank battlefield or not, I don't know. Emperor's Deus, when you conquer, you may pay 1 and return a unit you control here to its owner's hand. If you do, play a 2 Might Sand Soldier unit token here. I don't think this is playable, and I'm not really sure why they printed this battlefield. I guess when you play the Sand Soldier unit token, it like sucks up an equip onto your, like, you can equip something for free if you have Weapon Master. If I'm playing Azir, I guess I'll play this battlefield. I might as well. But otherwise, it doesn't really make sense. If you have like a lot of units that enter the battlefield and do good things, it's like maybe playable, but the tempo loss is like pretty significant, so I think I probably wouldn't want to play this. Yeah, suspect for sure. Forge of the Fluft, while you control this battlefield, friendly legends have attach an equipment you control to unit control. I think it's good. I think it's good. I don't know what legends you would want that would want this, but if you have equipments in your list, I think it's fine. You are like a little bit worried about other decks being able to utilize this battlefield a little bit better than your list does. But I think it's fine, because you are like with knowledge that you're gonna be able to do this, so you'd be able to like utilize it pretty decently. If you're playing like Renata, you could like theoretically do this, and it basically lets you have Jax Legend without needing Jax. It's like not bad. Forgotten Monument, players can't score here until their 3rd turn. If you want to be like a psychopath and like only put like crazy high cost units into your deck and play Forgotten Monument turn 1 or game 1, I think it's like reasonable. Like you could do that. I would just be really hesitant for that, because they can still score the other battlefields. So you're usually preventing 1 point from Forgotten Monument, which is like not that much. Hall of Legends, when you conquer, you may pay 1 to ready your legend. I would play this on Azir, maybe. I would play this on Fiora probably. I would play this on Draven for sure. Maybe Ezreal. Oh, I would for sure do Ezreal, because you only need to meet the condition once to be able to do that twice. So play this Ezreal, Draven. Draven doesn't exhaust when you win the combat, because he's disgusting. Ezreal, Rek'Sai, Fiora, Azir. I'd play these. Yeah. Marai Spire, while you control this battlefield, friendly repeat cost 1 less. if you have a lot of repeat cards in your deck, you might as well play this. You'll probably get more value out of it than other players. Yeah, I'd play it. Minefield, when you conquer here, put the top 2 cards of your main deck into your trash. Unless you're trying to mill your opponent or mill yourself, I probably wouldn't. Maybe you can like tilt your opponent by accidentally milling something that's important out of their deck. I don't know. I think this is exactly the same as a blank battlefield. Orange Forge. While you control this battlefield, the first friendly non-token gear played each turn costs 1 less. If you're an equipment-focused deck, I would definitely play this. There are going to be some number of your opponents that aren't going to have that many equipments, so it's nice, I guess. I would only play this going first. I don't think I'd play this if I was going second, so just keep that in mind. Power Nexus. When you hold here, you may pay 4 power to score 1 point. You like might as well play this. You're like a little bit worried about it backfiring on you, but if you have ways to generate gold, it's like not that bad. You're like worried that you're gonna like your opponents are gonna attack onto it at 6, and then like score to 7, or it's like attack onto it at 5, and then they're gonna score to 6, and then next turn they're gonna hold to 7, and then just pay 4 to win the game. So it's like very, very risky. I literally don't know when I would be super happy playing this. This could easily lose you the game as easily as it could win you the game. So I'd be very suspect for this. Maybe if my deck's a little bit on the faster side and I really, really want to win really, really quickly, I think I would consider this. I would not play this in a control deck because it lets your opponents score fast. Ravenbloom Conservatory. When you defend here, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a spell, put it in your hand, otherwise recycle it. You can play this. It's gonna like benefit you and your opponent like roughly exactly the same amount. I think it might actually benefit you less because other players are oftentimes going to be greedy. Oh, you know, a lot of players are going to be greedy and run a ton of equipment in their deck, I think. So if you are like balanced in like not having too many equipment and instead having a bunch of spells and units, I think this card is pretty reasonable. If you're running a deck that doesn't contain too many equipments, I would definitely play this card. Walkable path units can be played here. I don't know. This is like basically a blank battlefield. I have no idea if this is like good or not. I don't know when this would be good and when this would be bad. I guess I would play this when I'm going second, so that my opponent can't conquer and run onto it. I mean, they can like conquer and then play onto it to hold, which is like reasonable, but your opponent's gonna be able to do that on the other battlefield, and it's gonna prevent you from doing that onto this battlefield. So, I probably wouldn't play it. I feel like there isn't really a time where I'm happy to play this card. Seat of Power. When you conquer here, draw 1 for each other battlefield you or your allies control. I think this is fine. You definitely want to be on the more aggressive side when you're doing this. Like, if you're playing like Draven or like Azir or something, I'd probably play this. If I'm playing slower and I'm like can't really hold battlefields that well, I probably wouldn't play this battlefield. Sunken Temple. When you conquer here with 1 or more mighty units, you may pay 1 to draw 1. I would definitely play this. If your deck has some number of like a decent number of mighty units, like it's a little bit more on the slower mid-rangey side, I would 100% play this. Like if I'm playing Fiora, I'm 100% playing this. Playing Azir, I'd probably play this. Playing Draven, I'd play this. Anything that runs a decent amount of mighty units, I'd definitely play it. Paper Tree. When you hold here, each player channels 1 rune exhausted. I'll play this as like going second. As a slower deck because it punishes your opponent for holding, basically, right? If you think about Star Tips Peak is like when you hold here, you channel 1 rune exhausted. This is when you hold here, each player channels 1 rune exhausted. So it's meant so that you want your opponent to hold it to be able to ramp you, so that you can play your stuff. I don't think it's like that good of a game plan to be like wanting your opponent to hold stuff. So I would only do it if your deck is like super giga slow or like needs a ton of runes to be functional. Treasure Hoard. When you conquer here, you may pay 1 to play a gold gear token exhausted. I think it's fine. Both players are going to be able to utilize this pretty well. I would probably play this if I was going first and I have a lot of 3 drops, or if I'm going second, I have a lot of 4 drops. It would be up to you. I would want to create the gold token the first time you attack into it. I think it's pretty good. Veiled Temple. When you conquer, you may ready a friendly gear. If it's equipment, you may detach it. No. It's basically a blank battlefield. I don't think there's a reason to run this unless you like exactly have like Vanguard armory in your deck and you just want a blank battlefield that'll occasionally ready your Vanguard armory. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. There are some overnumbered cards that you can theoretically open. I guess we'll talk about them. Seals, don't play any of the seals. They're all not that good. Just play cards that generate gold tokens, and you don't need seals. Vayne, I would play Vayne. Vayne would be like B plus. It would be B plus. If you're opening these, just like you're raking in the money, so you don't even care that much. But I'd play Vayne, B plus. Aphelios, we talked about. Irelia, we talked about. Seal, don't play this. Auri, I would definitely play this. This is probably like a B level card. She attacks really well. She defends really well. B, maybe even B plus. She's really good. Bard, we talked about. Seal, don't play. Teemo Strategist, I would not play this card. D plus. D plus. If you have any hidden cards, it's still not that good. D plus. You're like maybe picking for 1 damage. It's not good enough. Maybe like D minus. D minus. I don't like the power cost on it. Well, it's hidden. It is hidden, so it's like not that bad. D plus. D plus. Seal, don't play. Set Brawler. Oh my god, if you open this Set Brawler and you have Fiora Legend, it is disgusting. It is disgusting because you're allowed to use this as your chosen champion in Fiora. Yeah, I would definitely play this. This is like a level card in Fiora. If you have Fiora Legend. Holy crap. If I pull that, that'd be so hilarious. Yone Blademaster, we talked about. Seal of Discord, we talked about. Yasuo Windrider, don't play this card. This card's unplayable. Let's say D minus. Darius Executioner, I kind of like it. 6 and a yellow for, and if you play another card, he readies himself. I'm gonna say B minus on this card. He's gonna be pretty decent. He's never gonna like win you games. Well, he could. The aura effect, where the other units have +1, is like not super relevant. But the entering ready is really relevant if you play a Legion. And you're going to have some extra 2s and 3s that you're just drawing into. So being able to activate the Legion is going to be pretty reasonable. So yeah, I'd say like a B minus for Darius Executioner. Karma Chandler, I'd like her at like a B minus as well. No, I think she might be like a C plus. There's like not a ton of recycling in this game. If you have like support for her, she can be like a B minus, but I think on like as a baseline, she's like just a C plus because she's a 6 mana, 6 energy, 1 power for a 7 might unit. Because she just like recycle the thing that you look at for vision, and then buff herself. It's just 7 mana, a 7 energy, a 7 might unit. Good enough. Seal of Unity, Soraka we talked about, and then these are it. Oh my god, did I get through them all? I got them all. Let's go. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I think this is like a 4-hour video. Let me know if this is actually like any like helpful. If you want to see this content for like future sets, this is like a ton of like a pain in the ass to record. I took like multiple breaks because this is horrible. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know.